Welcome to a quiet adventure, a story of wonder, courage, and the magic of gentle discovery. In a world where silence holds secrets and nature whispers softly, one boy follows a glowing compass into the unknown. This is the tale of Sami, a dreamer, a seeker, and the heart behind the compass of the hidden valley. So settle in, take a deep breath, and let your imagination wander. The journey begins now, not with noise or haste, but with stillness, curiosity, and the soft rhythm of footsteps through misty meadows. Sami was a boy with a quiet heart and a curious mind. He loved maps, not just the ones in books, but the ones he drew himself, filled with imaginary rivers, secret caves, and places no one had ever seen. His room was covered in sketches, and he often dreamed of exploring far beyond his village. To Sami, a map was more than just lines on paper. It was a promise, a whispered secret, a gateway to worlds yet to be discovered. He spent countless hours hunched over his makeshift desk, the tip of his charcoal pencil worn smooth from rendering intricate coastlines and fantastical mountain ranges that spiraled into the sky. So settle in, take a deep breath, and let your imagination wander. The journey begins now, not with noise or haste, but with stillness, curiosity, and the soft rhythm of footsteps through misty meadows. His village, nestled in a gentle valley, was a place of comforting routine and familiar faces. The cobblestone streets wound past houses with flower-filled window boxes, and the scent of freshly baked bread often mingled with the earthy aroma of the nearby fields. Yet, for all its charm, it sometimes felt like a cage to Sami's soaring imagination. While other children chased after rolling hoops or played boisterous games of hide-and-seek, Sami would often sit by the old oak tree at the edge of the village, his eyes scanning the distant, hazy peaks, wondering what lay beyond their shadowed slopes. He yearned for the unknown, for the thrill of discovery that only a true explorer could know. His maps were not mere flights of fancy. They were meticulously crafted worlds, each with its own history and logic. There was the Whispering Woods, where ancient trees conversed in rustling leaves, and the Azure Falls, a cascade of water so pure it shimmered with impossible blue light. He'd even invented a forgotten language to label landmarks, etching symbols that only he could decipher, adding another layer of mystery to his personal atlases. Sometimes he'd find himself lost in the labyrinthine corridors of a hand-drawn cavern, tracing the imagined path of a subterranean river, feeling the cool, damp air on his skin and hearing the echo of dripping water, all from the confines of his small, sun-dappled room. One crisp autumn afternoon, while helping his grandfather clear out the dusty attic, Sami stumbled upon a treasure. Tucked away in a forgotten chest, beneath piles of faded linens and moth-eaten tapestries, lay a single, brittle sheet of parchment. It was an old map, unlike any he had ever seen. The edges were frayed, the ink faded, depicting not imaginary lands, but a crude, yet undeniably real, representation of the valley where his village stood. But what truly captivated him were the faint, almost illegible markings at the map's periphery. A dotted line leading into the darkest part of the surrounding forest, terminating at a symbol he couldn't quite identify. A crescent moon above a jagged peak. A tremor of excitement, cool and exhilarating, ran through him. This wasn't a map of fantasy. It was a map of potential reality, a challenge issued by hands long gone. The quiet corners of his mind, usually content to dwell in invented realms, now sparked with a new kind of fire. Could there genuinely be something hidden out there? A secret overlooked by generations? He spent weeks poring over the old parchment, comparing it to his own detailed sketches of the familiar forest paths, trying to decipher the ancient symbols. His curiosity, always a gentle hum, now pulsed with insistent energy. He started small, venturing beyond the well-trodden paths, using the old map as a guide, combined with his own intuitive understanding of the land. He discovered forgotten deer trails that wound deeper into the woods, found moss-covered stones that seemed to be placed with intention, and stumbled upon a small, secluded glade bathed in perpetual twilight. Each small discovery was a victory, a validation of his unique way of seeing the world. The thrill wasn't just in finding new places, but in the act of seeing them through the lens of a map, making the invisible visible. The village elder, Old Alara, a woman known for her keen eyes and even keener memory, occasionally caught Sami poring over his maps. She would offer a soft, knowing smile, sometimes sharing fragments of local lore, whispers of hidden springs, forgotten pathways, or the legends of ancient spirits that guarded the highest peaks. These tales, woven into the fabric of the valley, only deepened Sami's resolve. They transformed his imaginary worlds into potential real ones, blurring the line between myth and exploration. And so, Sami's journey continued, not always with a grand expedition, but with every meticulous line drawn, every new detail observed, every quiet contemplation of the world beyond his window. His quiet heart beat with the rhythm of discovery, and his curious mind saw not just a village, but an entire world waiting to be mapped, understood, and cherished. He knew that the greatest adventures often began not with a ship setting sail, but with a boy and a map, dreaming of what lay just beyond the horizon, whether real or imagined. His village was nestled between misty mountains, where the clouds hung low and the wind whispered through the trees. It was a peaceful place, where time moved slowly and the stars always seemed close enough to touch. The village of Oakhaven lay cradled in a deep valley, an emerald jewel set amidst the brooding majesty of the Silver Peak Mountains. These peaks were more than mere geological formations. They were ancient sentinels, their rugged shoulders perpetually shrouded in a veil of mist that clung to their slopes like a second skin. From the earliest dawn, when the first sliver of sunlight pierced the ethereal haze, to the fading light of dusk, the clouds hung low, drifting languidly through the valleys, occasionally dipping down to kiss the rooftops of the small, stout houses, imparting a soft, hushed quality to the very air. It was a place where the wind wasn't just air in motion, but a sentient presence, a constant companion that whispered through the ancient fir trees bordering the village. Its voice shifted with the seasons. A gentle sigh in summer, rustling leaves like pages of an untold story. A mournful lament in autumn, carrying the scent of damp earth and dying fires. A sharp, cutting howl in winter, reminding everyone of the mountain's raw power. Yet, even in its fiercest moods, there was a comforting familiarity to its song, a sense of belonging to something vast and untamed. It carried with it the distant murmur of mountain streams, the faint echo of a hawk's cry, and the unspoken secrets of the wilderness, weaving them all into the everyday fabric of Oakhaven life, a constant, soothing soundtrack to existence. Life in Oakhaven unfolded with an unhurried grace, a stark contrast to the bustling towns beyond the mountain passes. There was no clamor of industry, no frantic rush to meet deadlines. Instead, the rhythm of the days was dictated by the sun's journey across the sky and the changing demands of the seasons. Farmers tended their modest plots with patient hands, their movements deliberate and practiced. Weavers spun wool by the hearth, their shuttles clicking a soothing melody. Children played in the village square, their laughter clear and unburdened, echoing off the timbered walls. Even conversations seemed to unfold at a more contemplative pace, seasoned with long pauses and thoughtful silences, as if each word needed time to settle and resonate in the crisp mountain air. It was a peace born not of idleness, but of deep contentment and a profound respect for the natural world. Indeed, time in Oakhaven didn't race. It meandered like the glacial rivers carving paths through the mountains, slow and steady, eroding the edges of urgency. Generations had lived and died within these valleys, each passing on not just their trade, but their stories, their wisdom, and their quiet resilience. Old Man Eldrin, with his gnarled hands and eyes that held the depth of centuries, would often say that in Oakhaven, the past wasn't something distant. It was palpable, present in the stones of the oldest homes, in the enduring traditions of their festivals, and in the very breath of the wind. There was a sense of permanence, a feeling that while the world outside might churn with ceaseless change, Oakhaven remained steadfast, an anchor in a turbulent sea. This deliberate pace fostered a deep connection to ancestry and community, where every individual thread was vital to the tapestry of their shared existence. But it was above all, at night, that Oakhaven truly revealed its most breathtaking secret, a canopy of stars that always seemed close enough to touch. Unmarred by the light pollution of distant cities, the velvet blackness of the mountain sky was a canvas upon which the cosmos painted its most brilliant masterpieces. Every constellation was sharply defined, every distant galaxy a faint, shimmering smudge, each meteor shower a dazzling spectacle that brought the villagers out of their homes, their faces upturned in silent awe. The elders told tales of ancient stargazers who navigated by these celestial beacons, who understood the subtle shifts in the heavens as signs and omens. Children learned the names of the constellations before they learned their full alphabet, tracing patterns of heroes and beasts across the infinite expanse. There was a spiritual weight to these clear, cold nights, a humbling realization of humanity's small place in a vast, unknowable universe. Yet, it was not a frightening insignificance, but a comforting one, a reminder that they were part of something immense and eternal. The mountains protected them, the mist shrouded them in mystery, the wind sang their lullabies, and the stars were their silent witnesses, gazing down with ancient eyes. This constant proximity to the raw, untamed beauty of nature infused the people of Oakhaven with a quiet strength, a gentle wisdom. They learned patience from the mountains, resilience from the wind, and wonder from the boundless sky. Their lives were simple, yet profound, rooted deeply in the earth beneath their feet and reaching reverently towards the heavens above. Sami spent his days tracing paths on paper, imagining adventures through forests and valleys. He believed that somewhere out there was a place waiting just for him, a place no one had found yet, but he would. His small room, tucked away in the quiet corner of his family home, was less a bedroom and more a cartographer's sanctuary. The floor was often littered with crumpled sheets of paper, each a testament to an imagined expedition. Maps of sprawling river systems, intricately detailed mountain ranges that seemed to breathe with life, and dense, shadowy forests filled with untold secrets adorned every available surface. His fingers, perpetually stained with charcoal dust, moved with a practiced grace, coaxing landscapes into existence with every stroke of his pencil. For Sami, these maps were not just drawings. They were invitations, whispered promises of grand escapades. The forests that bordered his village were his primary inspiration, a vast, emerald tapestry that stretched towards the distant, hazy horizon. He would sit for hours at his window, gazing at the undulating canopy, his imagination taking flight. To him, every clump of trees was a potential whispering grove, every winding creek a silver serpent river, and every shadowed hollow a cavern of echoes. He didn't just see trees and rocks. He saw portals to other realms, hidden passages to extraordinary encounters. He'd meticulously chart these imagined territories, marking potential dangers with jagged XS and designating safe havens with tiny, hand-drawn campfires. The joy was not just in the creation, but in the belief that these places, or something remarkably similar, truly existed. Sami harbored a deep, unwavering conviction that the world held a special place just for him. Not a place found on common atlases or tourist guides, but a unique, untouched sanctuary, a haven for discovery, a testament to the untamed spirit of exploration. He envisioned it not as a mythical land floating in the clouds, but as a tangible corner of the earth, perhaps hidden by dense foliage, shrouded in perpetual mist, or nestled deep within an uncharted valley. It was a place where the air would taste different, where the silence would hum with untold stories, and where the very ground beneath his feet would feel like a homecoming. This belief wasn't born of arrogance, but of a quiet, profound certainty that resonated deep within his curious soul. His search was not for fame or fortune, but for the profound satisfaction of connecting with the unknown. He didn't desire to plant a flag or claim territory. Rather, he yearned to witness, to understand, to simply be in a place that had remained pristine, untouched by human hand or hurried footstep. He imagined towering waterfalls that sang with an otherworldly melody, ancient trees whose roots delved into the very heart of the earth, and perhaps even creatures unknown to the wider world, living in harmonious seclusion. This place, he felt, was a mirror of his own quiet heart, a space of profound wonder and serene beauty. While his friends played games of skill and strength, Sami would often be found in the village library, poring over old travelogues and faded geographical texts. He wasn't seeking precise coordinates for his imagined haven. Instead, he sought clues, inspiration, fragments of forgotten lore that might hint at the existence of such a place. He learned about ancient explorers who ventured into uncharted territories, about indigenous peoples who held sacred lands hidden from outsiders, and about natural phenomena that created landscapes of breathtaking, surreal beauty. Each tale, each description, fanned the flames of his conviction, solidifying his belief that his special place was not a mere fantasy, but a potential reality waiting for its discoverer. He understood that finding such a place would require more than just drawing maps. It would demand courage, resilience, and an unwavering spirit of adventure. He knew there would be challenges: thick undergrowth, treacherous river crossings, perhaps even the need to overcome his own fears. But the prospect of these trials did not deter him. Instead, they made the quest all the more enticing. He spent hours practicing knot tying, studying the habits of local wildlife, and learning to identify edible plants from the old herbalist in the village, all in preparation for the day he would finally step beyond the familiar. Every night, as he lay in bed, the moonlight casting long, dancing shadows across his room, Sami would close his eyes and journey through his mental landscapes. He'd feel the crunch of leaves beneath his imaginary boots, the cool spray of a distant waterfall on his face, the exhilarating rush of discovering a hidden spring. He wasn't just dreaming. He was rehearsing, preparing his spirit for the grand adventure that he knew, with every fiber of his being, awaited him. He was not just a boy with a pencil and paper. He was an explorer, a pioneer of the spirit, charting the course to a destiny that only he could fulfill, the discovery of his very own, untouched world. One rainy afternoon, the kind where the world outside seemed to press in, cloaked in a pervasive grayness, Sami found himself drawn to the dusty, often forgotten sanctuary of his grandfather's attic. The rhythmic drumming of raindrops against the windowpane provided a soothing counterpoint to the creaks and groans of the old house, and the air up there carried the distinct scent of aged wood, dry paper, and the faint, sweet perfume of forgotten lavender. It was a perfect day for exploration, a journey inward to the past, when the outer world offered little invitation. Sami, a boy whose mind was a sprawling map of untold adventures, approached the attic not as a mere storage space, but as an uncharted territory waiting for his discerning eye. He moved with a quiet reverence, his footsteps muffled by thick layers of dust and time. Shadows danced in the corners, playing tricks on his imagination, transforming mundane objects into fantastical beasts or slumbering giants. His hands, usually busy sketching intricate coastlines and secret pathways, now carefully sifted through forgotten boxes and chests. Each item he unearthed told a silent story. A chipped porcelain doll with vacant eyes, a stack of yellowed letters tied with a frayed ribbon, a wooden kaleidoscope whose colors had long since faded. He paused, imagining the lives these objects had touched, the memories they held, but none of them quite resonated with the deep-seated yearning for discovery that perpetually hummed beneath his quiet exterior. His attention was eventually snagged by a small, unassuming trunk tucked away beneath a pile of moth-eaten blankets. It was made of dark, heavy wood, adorned with tarnished brass fittings that hinted at a journey through many years. With a soft click, the latch gave way, revealing a collection of peculiar items. Old sailing charts that depicted a world vastly different from his own. A small, leather-bound journal filled with an elegant, looping script, and nestled amongst them, an old leather pouch. It was soft to the touch, worn smooth in places, suggesting countless journeys in someone's pocket, and faintly smelled of brine and distant lands. A faint tremor of anticipation, a feeling he knew well from his map-making, coursed through him. This was different. This felt significant. His fingers, surprisingly steady despite the quickening beat of his heart, untied the worn leather thong that secured the pouch. As he carefully parted the soft folds, a gleam of muted gold caught the dim attic light. There, resting on a bed of aged velvet, was a brass compass. It was unlike any compass he had ever seen in books or in the village shop. Its surface, a deep, burnished gold, was exquisitely aged, smooth and cool to the touch, almost as if it had been polished by the breath of countless winds rather than human hands. There was no glass cover over its face, no visible needle, yet it seemed entirely complete, utterly purposeful. It lay worn and quiet, as if holding a vast reservoir of ancient knowledge within its silent casing, waiting for the right moment to speak. But what truly captivated Sami, drawing his gaze like a moth to a flame, was the soft, ethereal glow that emanated from its edges. It wasn't a bright, blinding light, but a gentle luminescence, a subtle golden halo that pulsed with a faint, almost imperceptible rhythm. It wasn't reflecting the light. It was the light, a warm, inviting shimmer that seemed to breathe. As Sami reached out and carefully lifted the compass from its velvety nest, the warmth was immediate and profound. It wasn't the heat of friction or the ambient warmth of the attic. It was an internal heat, radiating from the very heart of the brass. It felt alive, a small, vibrant ember in his palm. And in that moment, as the compass rested in his hand, its gentle warmth seeping into his skin, a profound understanding settled over Sami. It wasn't just an old trinket, a relic of his grandfather's past. It felt, with an undeniable certainty that resonated through his very core, like it had been waiting for him. All those hours spent drawing imaginary rivers, charting secret caves, believing in a place no one had yet found. This compass felt like the tangible manifestation of that belief. It was a silent acknowledgement, a timeless invitation, a sign that his quiet dreams were not mere fantasies, but premonitions. The rainy afternoon outside, once gray and confining, now felt like the dawn of a new possibility, a beginning etched in brass and glowing light, promising paths yet to be revealed. That night, the world outside Sami's window was swallowed by an inky blackness, only occasionally pierced by the faint, shimmering light of distant stars. The rain had ceased, leaving the air fresh and cool, carrying the scent of damp earth and awakening forest. Inside his room, Sami sat cross-legged on his bed, the old brass compass from his grandfather's attic cradled carefully in his palms. Its initial soft glow, noticed earlier in the dim attic, had subtly intensified as twilight deepened, becoming a more pronounced, almost living light. It cast a gentle, golden aura over his hands, illuminating the fine lines etched into his skin and making the worn brass surface gleam with an otherworldly warmth. He had spent hours simply holding it, turning it over and over, feeling its inexplicable heat, wondering about its origins and purpose. His mind, usually a whirl of invented landscapes, was now singularly focused on this one tangible mystery. He imagined his grandfather, perhaps younger, holding this very compass, perhaps gazing at the same stars. As the hours stretched on, the glow from the compass steadily brightened, transitioning from a hesitant blush to a confident, unwavering radiance. It pulsed with a soft, internal rhythm, like a sleeping heart slowly rousing. The air around it seemed to shimmer faintly, and Sami felt a tingle, a strange resonance, emanating from the object and spreading through his body, settling deep within his chest. Then, with a sudden, almost imperceptible tremor, the silent, glassless face of the compass came to life. Sami watched, utterly transfixed, as a faint, ethereal needle materialized from within the polished brass. It was not a solid, metallic pointer, but a shimmering wisp of golden light, barely visible at first. It began to spin, not a slow, deliberate rotation, but a frantic, chaotic dance, swirling clockwise, then counterclockwise, a blur of golden light that seemed to search, to seek, to taste the unseen forces around it. His breath caught in his throat, his heart hammering a frantic rhythm against his ribs. This wasn't a trick of the light, nor a sleepy hallucination. It was a profound, undeniable awakening. The compass was alive. The needle's wild gyration continued for what felt like an eternity, though it was likely only a few heartbeats. Sami's eyes were wide, unblinking, tracking every frantic twist and turn. He felt a nervous flutter in his stomach, a mixture of awe and trepidation. What was it doing? What was it looking for? The golden light of the needle, now more distinct, intensified with each spin, casting flickering shadows across the maps pinned to his walls, making the imaginary rivers and mountains seem to ripple and breathe. The very air in the room felt charged, expectant. Then, as abruptly as it began, the spinning slowed. The wild dance coalesced, the golden wisp hesitating, quivering, as if sensing an invisible pull. Sami leaned closer, holding his breath, his eyes fixed on the compass. The needle wavered for a moment, trembling between 2 points, before it settled with a quiet, undeniable certainty. It didn't point towards the village, or the familiar fields, or even the distant sea he sometimes dreamed of. Instead, the shimmering golden needle oriented itself with absolute precision, unwavering and resolute, toward the mountains. The very mountains that cradled his village, the ones whose misty peaks he had so often gazed upon, wondering about the secrets they held. A gasp escaped Sami's lips. The mountains! For years, they had been the backdrop to his fantasies, the edges of his drawn maps, the guardians of the unknown. And now, this ancient, glowing compass, seemingly plucked from the annals of exploration, was pointing directly at them. It wasn't just a direction. It was an affirmation. It was as if the compass had read the innermost yearning of his heart, acknowledging the countless hours he'd spent charting unseen peaks and hidden valleys in his imagination. The golden needle pulsed, not with frantic energy now, but with a gentle, steady beat, like a beacon calling him home, or perhaps calling him out. The glow around the compass's edges, and indeed the needle itself, began to pulse gently, an inviting rhythmic throb that seemed to echo the beat of his own excited heart. It wasn't an aggressive command, but a soft, insistent whisper, a silent plea. "Follow me," it seemed to say. "Your place is out there. I will show you the way." It felt less like a mechanical device and more like a conscious entity, sharing a secret, extending an invitation that felt deeply personal. The warmth in his hand intensified, comforting and compelling. Sami felt an overwhelming sense of destiny, a profound connection to this small, glowing artifact. The mountains, once a distant, beautiful mystery, now felt like a tangible destination, a journey he was meant to undertake. His quiet heart swelled with a thrill of anticipation, a readiness he hadn't known he possessed. The night was no longer just a period of rest. It was the eve of an adventure, illuminated by a silent, golden call. Engraved on the back of the ancient brass compass, where his thumb now rested, were the words, "Follow where the wind forgets." The letters, etched with a delicate precision that had defied the wear of countless years, seemed to absorb the compass's soft, golden glow, making them shimmer with a subtle luminescence. Sami had been so mesmerized by the glowing needle and its resolute direction towards the mountains that he hadn't thought to inspect the reverse side until now. Discovering this inscription was like unearthing another layer of mystery, a whispered secret passed down through time, directly to him. He traced the words with a tentative fingertip, the brass cool against his skin despite the compass's inherent warmth. Each curve and line of the script felt imbued with profound significance. "Follow where the wind forgets." He repeated the phrase aloud, his voice a soft murmur in the quiet room, trying to roll the words around in his mind, to coax meaning from their poetic obscurity. What could it possibly mean? Winds were constant, unseen forces that swept across the land, rustling leaves, carrying scents, shaping landscapes. How could wind forget a place? Did it mean a sheltered, calm place? A place so still that even the ubiquitous wind bypassed it? Or did it refer to something more profound, something forgotten by time itself, beyond the reach of memory or common knowledge? The ambiguity of the phrase, rather than frustrating him, only deepened its allure. It wasn't a straightforward command like "go north" or "find the hidden spring." Instead, it was a riddle, a poetic directive that spoke directly to his curious mind and imaginative spirit. It felt like a lock, and the compass itself was the key, but the exact mechanism for turning it remained elusive. Yet, in that uncertainty, lay an exhilarating promise. It was an invitation to interpret, to explore not just the physical world but the conceptual, to delve into the very essence of exploration and discovery. This inscription elevated the compass from a mere navigational tool to a philosophical guide, a silent mentor urging him to seek out the extraordinary. As he pondered the words, a peculiar sensation began to unfurl within him. His heart, usually a quiet rhythm beneath his ribs, began to quicken its pace. It wasn't the frantic thumping of fear or anxiety, but a surge of pure, unadulterated excitement, a joyous acceleration that hummed through his veins. It was the feeling one gets when standing on the precipice of something truly momentous, when the world seems to hold its breath in anticipation. This sensation was entirely new, yet profoundly familiar, as if his heart had been silently waiting for this very message, recognizing it as its destined call. The phrase resonated deeply with Sami's lifelong fascination with the undiscovered. His imaginary maps were filled with places no one had ever seen, realms beyond the reach of ordinary perception. Where the wind forgets sounded like precisely such a place, a secluded sanctuary, untouched by the currents of time and change, a secret haven preserving an ancient stillness. It fueled his conviction that somewhere out there was a place waiting just for him, a place pristine and perfect. The compass, with its glowing needle pointing to the mountains, was clearly guiding him towards this forgotten realm, this nexus of quietude and mystery. He felt an intense, almost overwhelming sense of personal connection to the message. It felt like a secret, a message meant only for him. It wasn't a general instruction. It was tailored, specific, speaking directly to the quiet, yearning soul of a boy who loved maps and dreamed of uncharted territories. It validated all his solitary hours spent drawing, all his whispered wishes for adventure. This wasn't merely a coincidence. It was fate, a thread woven through the fabric of time, connecting his curious present to a forgotten past and an unknown future. The compass and its cryptic message felt like an echo of his own unspoken desires, a tangible manifestation of his deepest longings. The words follow where the wind forgets painted vivid images in his mind. Ancient, still glades where leaves never rustled, deep caverns where no draft ever stirred, hidden valleys perpetually sheltered from the elements. It suggested a place of profound tranquility, perhaps even a place outside of time, preserved in a bubble of undisturbed peace. The very idea thrilled him to his core. He clutched the compass tighter, its warmth a grounding presence, its glow a steady guide in the encroaching darkness of the night. He knew, with a certainty that transcended logic, that he had to follow. The mountains awaited, and within them, the forgotten place where the wind's memory faded, a place calling to his heart with an irresistible, silent song. His adventure, he realized, was truly about to begin. The next morning dawned with a quiet reverence, the world outside Sami's window still veiled in a soft, ethereal mist that clung to the mountainsides. A sliver of pale sunlight, however, was already beginning to pierce the haze, promising a crisp, clear day. A day Sami knew that would be unlike any other. He rose before the rest of his family, moving with a newfound purpose that lent a silent urgency to his actions. The old brass compass, its soft golden glow now a subtle pulse, rested on his bedside table, its needle still steadfastly pointing towards the mountains, an unwavering beacon in the dim pre-dawn light. His preparations were swift and deliberate, each item chosen with the careful consideration of a seasoned explorer, despite his young age. First, he retrieved his most treasured possession, a sturdy, leather-bound notebook. Its pages, usually filled with imaginary maps and fantastical creatures, were now destined to record a real journey. He tucked a well-sharpened pencil alongside it, knowing that every new discovery, every observation, would need to be meticulously documented. This notebook wasn't just a blank slate. It was a companion, a silent confidant for the adventures that lay ahead. Next, a sturdy water bottle. Hydration. He knew from his grandfather's occasional tales of venturing into the high pastures, was paramount. He filled it to the brim with fresh, cold water from the well, the simple act feeling like a profound ritual, a commitment to the path he was about to embark upon. Food was simpler. He found a hearty piece of yesterday's homemade bread, still wonderfully soft and fragrant, and carefully wrapped it in a clean cloth. It wasn't much, but it was enough to sustain him for the initial leg of his journey, a small but vital anchor to the familiar world he was leaving behind, if only for a short while. These few items, his notebook, water, and bread, were all he needed, distilled to the absolute essentials, embodying the spirit of a minimalist expedition. He packed them into a small, sturdy canvas bag, the kind he usually took when gathering berries in the nearby woods. The bag felt heavier than usual, not just with its contents, but with the weight of expectation, of destiny. He slung it over his shoulder, the straps feeling surprisingly comfortable, as if they too were meant for this journey. As he made his way silently down the creaky stairs, the house was still steeped in sleep. His parents and siblings would be waking soon, but for now, the quiet was his accomplice, allowing him to slip away unnoticed, unburdened by questions or protests. Sami told no one of his impending departure. This decision wasn't born of malice or a desire to worry his family, but of a deep, intuitive understanding that this journey was his alone. It was a personal quest, guided by a mysterious compass and a cryptic message meant only for him. Explaining it to others, he felt, would somehow diminish its magic, dilute its profound personal significance. How could he articulate the pulsating glow, the spinning needle, the words "follow where the wind forgets"? To anyone who hadn't felt the compass's warmth in their own hand, hadn't heard its silent call, he knew they would worry, would try to dissuade him, perhaps even laugh at his earnestness. This adventure, in its purest form, had to be a solitary communion between him and the unknown. He opened the back door, the latch clicking softly, a sound that seemed to echo loudly in the pre-dawn stillness. The cool, fresh air enveloped him, carrying the scent of pine and damp earth. He stepped out, closing the door gently behind him, and took a deep breath, filling his lungs with the promise of the wild. The compass, now secured in an inner pocket of his jacket, its gentle warmth a constant reminder against his chest, felt like a silent, beating heart guiding him forward. He looked up at the mountains, their peaks still partially obscured by lingering mist, but their presence felt more tangible, more inviting than ever before. As Sami began to walk, his footsteps quiet on the dew-kissed grass, a profound sense of exhilaration washed over him. He wasn't just walking, he was embarking. The familiar path leading away from his village, one he had trodden countless times before, now felt like the very beginning of an epic saga. The world, once neatly confined to the boundaries of his village and the pages of his maps, was suddenly vast and brimming with untold possibilities. The adventure, he realized, wasn't something he was going to begin. It had already begun the moment he had held that glowing compass, the moment he had read its cryptic inscription, the moment he had decided to trust its silent call. Every breath, every step, was now a part of this unfolding journey, a step closer to the forgotten place, to the heart of the mountains, to the destiny that awaited him. He stepped out of the village, the last familiar cobblestone giving way to the soft, damp earth of the surrounding landscape. The morning sun, now fully risen, poured its golden light over everything, painting the world in hues of amber and emerald. It was a starkly beautiful contrast to the misty pre-dawn quiet he had just left. The air, crisp and fresh, carried the sweet, earthy scent of blooming wildflowers and dew-kissed grass. Sami clutched the canvas bag slung over his shoulder, its contents feeling surprisingly light, and took a deep, fortifying breath. The world felt vast and alive, brimming with a silent energy that mirrored the burgeoning excitement within his own quiet heart. He entered the sprawling expanse of the golden fields that bordered his village, a landscape he knew well from childhood excursions. Yet today it felt entirely new, imbued with a fresh sense of purpose. The tall, ripening stalks of grain, still heavy with morning dew, shimmered like spun gold in the sunlight. As he walked, a gentle breeze, soft and intermittent, swept through the fields, causing the grass and grain to sway in unison, like an immense silent ocean. Waves of green and gold rippled endlessly towards the horizon, creating a hypnotic, calming spectacle. He paused for a moment, letting the soothing rhythm wash over him, grounding him in the beauty of the present. The air around him was alive with delicate, fluttering movement. Butterflies, their wings adorned with intricate patterns of sapphire, ruby, and jade, danced through the air. They drifted lazily from one bloom to another, tiny, ephemeral sparks of life, completely unaware of the momentous journey Sami had just embarked upon. He watched them for a moment, a faint smile touching his lips. They seemed to embody the carefree spirit of the morning, a vivid contrast to the serious, determined resolve that now propelled him forward. Their dance felt like a welcoming committee, a natural benediction for his solitary quest. Beneath his jacket, nestled close to his chest, the brass compass pulsed with its steady, golden glow. Its warmth was a constant, comforting presence against his skin, a silent promise of guidance. Every few steps, Sami would reach in, his fingers brushing against its smooth, worn surface. He didn't need to pull it out to check. He could feel its direction, an almost magnetic pull emanating from its core. The invisible needle, as resolute as it had been in his room, pointed steadily ahead, towards the undulating silhouette of the mountains that now loomed larger and more defined with every step he took. Sami followed without hesitation, his quiet excitement building with each stride. It wasn't a boisterous, shouting kind of excitement, but a deep internal hum, a thrilling sense of rightness that resonated through his entire being. This was not merely a walk. It was the unfolding of a long-held dream, the first tangible step into the maps he had so carefully drawn in his mind. He imagined the fields as the vast plains leading to an epic mountain range, the butterflies as heralds of the magical creatures that might inhabit the hidden valleys. Every detail of the familiar landscape took on new significance, transforming into a clue, a piece of the grand tapestry of his adventure. His mind, always active, began to speculate about the nature of the wind forgets place. Could it be a hidden valley so sheltered by the surrounding peaks that no breeze could ever disturb its tranquility? Or perhaps a secret grove deep within the forest where the very air was still and hushed? The ambiguity of the phrase, once a pleasant mystery, now felt like a playful challenge, spurring his imagination to conjure endless possibilities. Each thought, each speculation, propelled him forward with renewed vigor. The path beneath his feet, initially a faint track through the fields, gradually became less defined, merging with the wilder stretches of grass. He paid little attention, his gaze often lifted towards the distant mountains, their peaks now sharp and distinct against the azure sky. The initial apprehension he might have felt about leaving the familiar comforts of his village was completely overshadowed by the compelling pull of the compass and the sheer joy of truly embarking on his own adventure. He was an explorer, not just in his dreams, but in tangible reality, guided by an ancient mystery and his own unwavering spirit. Each rustle of the grass, each distant birdsong, felt like a silent conversation with the wilderness, a confirmation that he was exactly where he was meant to be, following a path meant only for him. The golden fields, once a boundary, now felt like a majestic threshold to the unknown. Soon, the expansive golden fields began to thin, giving way to a more varied terrain of scattered trees and denser undergrowth. The gentle undulations of the land grew more pronounced, hinting at the foothills of the looming mountains. Sami's pace remained steady, his quiet determination unbroken. The brass compass nestled close to his heart, guiding him without fail. The air grew cooler, carrying the fresh, clean scent of moving water, a clear sign that he was approaching a stream or river. His ears, now attuned to the subtle sounds of the wilderness, picked up the faint, distant murmur of rushing water, growing steadily louder with each step. Within minutes, the trees parted, revealing a sight that made Sami pause, his breath catching in his throat. Before him lay a stream, clear and sparkling, its waters rushing over smooth, moss-covered stones. But these were no ordinary stones. Strewn across the width of the stream, forming a natural, inviting path, were stepping stones shaped like stars. Each one was perfectly formed, with 5 distinct points, smoothed by countless years of water erosion, yet maintaining their celestial design with remarkable clarity. They varied in size, some small enough for a single careful foot, others broad and flat, offering a reassuring expanse. Sami knelt at the bank, reaching out to touch the nearest star-shaped stone. Its surface was cool and smooth beneath his fingertips, covered in a delicate filigree of emerald moss that seemed to only enhance its ancient beauty. The water around it, crystal clear, swirled and danced, reflecting the dappled sunlight that filtered through the leaves above. He had never seen anything like it. This wasn't a natural formation he recognized from any of his books or his grandfather's stories. It felt deliberate, almost magical, as if placed there by an unseen hand for a specific purpose. It was another sign, another whisper from the world, confirming the extraordinary nature of his journey. He began to cross, carefully placing one foot after another, his focus entirely on the delicate balance required to navigate the stream. The water, though not deep, flowed with a brisk current, swirling around his ankles as he stepped from stone to stone. Each step was deliberate, a small act of faith, and with each placement of his foot, a soft, ethereal glow emanated from beneath the stone, a gentle light that pulsed for a moment before fading, only to be rekindled by the next step. It was a faint, inner light, visible even in the bright morning, like tiny, submerged stars winking to life in response to his touch. Each step felt like a promise of discovery, a promise that the compass was leading him truly, a promise that the world held wonders far beyond his wildest imagination. It was as if the stream itself and the ancient starstones within it were acknowledging his journey, welcoming him deeper into the heart of the unknown. The glow beneath his feet was not just a visual spectacle. It was a sensation, a subtle vibration that hummed through the soles of his boots, up his legs, and into his very being, filling him with a quiet sense of affirmation. He wasn't just crossing a stream, he was crossing a threshold, leaving one kind of world behind and entering another. His heart, already quickened by the day's unfolding adventure, now beat with a steady, joyous rhythm, in tune with the pulsing stars beneath his feet. He remembered the inscription on the compass, "Follow where the wind forgets." Perhaps the stream, with its unusual glowing stepping stones, was a gateway to such a place, a boundary marker between the ordinary and the extraordinary. The stillness of the surrounding woods seemed to deepen as he neared the far bank, the sounds of the stream the only audible melody, a gentle hum against the quiet reverence of the moment. Reaching the other side, Sami turned to look back. The star-shaped stones, now undisturbed, had ceased their glowing, returning to their quiet, moss-covered state, appearing almost mundane once more. It was as if their magic was only revealed to those who truly sought it, those who stepped with intention and belief. He smiled, a genuine, unburdened smile that reached his eyes. This journey was proving to be everything he had dreamed of, and more. He felt a profound connection to the ancient path, a sense of belonging to this hidden world. The mountains, now closer and more imposing, seemed to beckon with new urgency, promising even greater wonders beyond this enchanted stream. He adjusted his bag, his spirit renewed and invigorated, and set off once more, the faint hum of the starstones still resonating within him. The turtle, having laid out his challenge, blinked slowly, deliberately, its ancient eyelids closing and opening with the rhythm of deep time. When it spoke again, its voice was no longer the rumbling of distant stones, but softer, more ethereal, like the gentle rustling of leaves stirred by a barely perceptible breeze. It was a sound that resonated with the very essence of the willow tree under which it rested, a whisper of secrets carried on the wind. "I have a riddle for you," the turtle repeated, its gaze steady and unwavering. "Answer it, and the path will open." Sami, still captivated by the sheer magic of the moment, felt a wave of calm wash over him. His heart, which had been racing with exhilarating wonder just moments before, now settled into a steady, quiet beat. It wasn't a dulling of his excitement, but rather a sharpening of his focus, a readiness to engage with the task at hand. His curiosity, always a guiding force, now pulsed with an even greater intensity. He knew, instinctively, that this was not a test of brute knowledge or clever deception, but something deeper, something requiring thoughtfulness and genuine insight. He folded his hands in front of him, leaning slightly forward, his eyes fixed on the ancient creature, prepared to listen with every fiber of his being. The turtle drew a slow, deliberate breath, its chest barely expanding, before posing the riddle. Its voice, like the soft sighing of the leaves, filled the tranquil space beneath the willow. I have cities but no houses, forests but no trees, and water but no fish. What am I? Sami listened carefully, letting each word settle in his mind. The riddle, delivered with such gravitas by such an extraordinary creature, seemed simple on the surface, almost childlike in its construction. Yet, he sensed an underlying depth, a gentle trap for the unwary mind that rushed to obvious conclusions. He didn't immediately blurt out an answer, nor did he frantically search his memory for similar puzzles. Instead, he allowed a moment of quiet thinking to unfold. His eyes, though outwardly focused on the turtle, seemed to gaze inward, sifting through concepts and images, trying to find the thread of logic that would unravel the enigma. He pictured cities without houses, a paradox. Forests without trees, an impossibility, or so it seemed. Water without fish, unusual but perhaps not unheard of. His mind drifted to his own maps, the ones he drew, filled with imaginary landscapes. He considered abstract ideas, metaphors, and symbols. The gentle rustling of the willow leaves above him seemed to whisper possibilities, and the soft hum of the forest around him felt like a silent collaborator in his contemplation. The golden glow of the compass, still warm against his chest, offered a subtle, reassuring presence, as if encouraging him to trust his intuition. After a moment that felt both fleeting and expansive, a faint smile began to play on Sami's lips. The answer, when it came to him, wasn't a sudden burst of revelation, but a quiet unfolding, like a flower blooming. It was so elegantly simple, yet perfectly aligned with the deceptive nature of the riddle. He had seen countless examples of the answer throughout his life, both in his books and in his own creations. The key, he realized, lay in shifting his perspective, in understanding that words could describe something without it being physically present in the literal sense. He looked at the turtle, its ancient eyes still regarding him with unwavering patience. The soft, rustling leaf voice had posed the question, and now Sami felt ready to offer his response. His smile broadened slightly, a blend of satisfaction and continued wonder. He had found the solution, not through complex calculation, but through a quiet reflection that honored the riddle's thoughtful nature. The magic of the encounter deepened, for he had not just met a talking turtle, but had engaged with it on a level of intellect and understanding, a true communion of minds across species and worlds. The path ahead, he knew, was not just opening physically, but spiritually, revealing deeper layers of magic and meaning with every step. Having crossed the stream on the faintly glowing, star-shaped stepping stones, Sami felt a profound sense of having passed a threshold. The air on this side of the water seemed thicker, richer with the scent of damp earth and unseen blossoms. The path, barely more than a deer trail, wound deeper into the woods, the trees growing taller and more ancient, their branches interlacing overhead to form a dappled canopy. Sunlight struggled to penetrate, scattering in shimmering coins across the moss-covered ground. The forest hummed with a quiet intensity, a symphony of rustling leaves, distant birdsong, and the soft gurgle of unseen springs. Sami's heart, though still beating with a quiet excitement, now held a deeper reverence for this increasingly magical landscape. As he followed the winding path, guided by the insistent warmth of the compass against his chest, a particularly venerable willow tree caught his eye. It stood majestically by a small, still pool, its long, trailing branches cascading down like a verdant curtain, almost touching the water's surface. The tree's ancient bark was deeply furrowed, like the lines on an old man's face, and its leaves, a shimmering silver green, whispered gently in the barely perceptible breeze. Beneath its expansive, protective shade, where the light was soft and diffused, a patch of emerald moss carpeted the ground, offering a cool, inviting respite from the journey. And there, nestled perfectly in that tranquil, shaded spot, was a turtle. It was a creature of remarkable age and size, its shell a mosaic of deep greens and browns, mottled with patches of lichen that suggested centuries of patient growth. Its skin, leathery and wrinkled, was a testament to enduring time, and its eyes, dark and ancient, seemed to hold the quiet wisdom of the forest itself. It lay perfectly still, its head slightly raised, as if contemplating the slow drift of a cloud or the intricate patterns of sunlight on the water. Sami approached cautiously, his footsteps barely disturbing the silence, drawn by an inexplicable sense of importance emanating from the creature. The turtle, however, did not flinch or retract into its shell. Instead, as Sami came to a respectful halt a few feet away, it slowly, deliberately lifted its head further. Its ancient eyes, previously fixed on some distant contemplation, now turned to meet Sami's gaze. A shiver, not of fear but of profound wonder, ran down Sami's spine. He had seen countless animals in the forest, but none had ever met his eyes with such an air of knowing. Then, to Sami's utter astonishment, the turtle spoke. Its voice was deep and resonant, like stones rumbling far beneath the earth, yet surprisingly clear, each word carefully enunciated, steeped in an almost immeasurable patience. It spoke slowly, drawing out each syllable, as if time itself bent to its ancient rhythm. "Young traveler," the turtle began, its gaze unwavering, "to go forward, on this path you have chosen, you must first answer a riddle." Sami's jaw might have dropped, had he not been so completely mesmerized. A talking turtle, it was precisely the kind of encounter he had so often conjured in the wilder, more fantastical sections of his hand-drawn maps. A guardian of a secret grove, a wise creature bestowing cryptic advice. Yet, to experience it in vivid, undeniable reality was something else entirely. The boundaries between his richly imagined worlds and the tangible reality around him blurred, then dissolved completely. Every fiber of his being vibrated with the sheer impossibility, the breathtaking wonder of the moment. This wasn't just a discovery. It was an affirmation that the deepest, most vibrant parts of his imagination were echoing in the very fabric of the world. A wide, unburdened smile spread across Sami's face, reaching his eyes and making them sparkle with a newfound joy. It was a smile of pure delight, of exhilarating validation. The adventure, he realized, was already more magical than he had imagined. His maps, with their whispering woods and azure falls, had been merely hints, pale imitations of the vivid, living enchantment that now unfolded before him. He had always believed in a hidden place, a realm waiting for him, but he had never dared to dream it would be populated by such ancient, articulate beings. The compass had led him not just to a path, but to a living story, a fable stepping directly from the pages of his deepest wishes. He felt no fear, no hesitation, only an eager readiness. A riddle? He had loved riddles since childhood, seeing them as intellectual puzzles, miniature maps of logic and language. Now, a riddle would be his key to progress, a test of his intuition and understanding. This talking turtle, with its ancient eyes and slow, deliberate wisdom, was not an obstacle, but another profound layer to the mystery, an essential guide. He squared his shoulders, his smile still bright, ready to engage with this unexpected, wondrous challenge. The quiet excitement that had begun in his room had now blossomed into a full, vibrant bloom, filling him with a sense of purpose and boundless wonder. The journey was not just outward, into the mountains, but deeper inward, into the heart of a world far richer than he had ever conceived. The ancient turtle, having received Sami's thoughtful answer to its riddle, responded with a slow, deliberate nod. It wasn't a vigorous gesture, but a subtle, almost imperceptible dip of its head, a silent acknowledgement that resonated with the profound wisdom of its years. Its dark, knowing eyes seemed to hold a flicker of approval, a confirmation that Sami had indeed found the correct thread of logic, navigating the riddle's deceptive simplicity with true insight. The quiet moment beneath the willow tree deepened, imbued with the unspoken understanding between an ancient guardian and a young seeker. Then, with an unhurried grace that defied its considerable age, the turtle extended one of its leathery forelegs. In its claw, held delicately as if it were a precious jewel, was a leaf-shaped token. It was exquisitely crafted, not a natural leaf, but a small, smooth piece of polished stone, perhaps jade or a similar verdant mineral, carved with perfect precision to resemble a willow leaf. Its color was a deep, vibrant green, subtly veined, and its surface gleamed softly, reflecting the dappled sunlight. It was utterly beautiful, a tangible piece of the magic that now permeated Sami's journey. This, the turtle's voice rustled like dry leaves, a sound both ancient and gentle, will guide you when the forest forgets its way. The words hung in the air, weighted with meaning. Sami reached out a hand, his fingers trembling slightly with reverence and excitement, and carefully accepted the token. The moment his skin touched the polished stone, he felt an immediate, familiar sensation, a gentle warmth. It was similar to the subtle heat emanating from the brass compass, a living warmth that seemed to throb with a quiet energy, a silent pulse of connection. It was clear this was no ordinary trinket. He examined the token closely, turning it over in his palm. It was perfectly smooth, cool to the touch despite its inner warmth, and impossibly light. There were no visible markings, no etched symbols or complex designs, just the elegant, natural form of a leaf, crafted with an artistry that spoke of ages past. Its simplicity, however, belled its profound purpose. When the forest forgets its way was another cryptic phrase, a gentle warning perhaps, that the path ahead might become obscure, that even the most ancient woods could become disorienting. The token, then, was a safeguard, a promise of clarity in moments of confusion. With a sense of deep gratitude, Sami carefully tucked the leaf-shaped token into the small leather pouch he carried, the same pouch that held his essential provisions. He could still feel its gentle warmth radiating through the soft leather, a constant, comforting presence alongside the insistent thrum of the brass compass. The pouch, once merely a practical container, now felt like a repository of profound magic, a portable sanctuary for the extraordinary artifacts he was collecting on his quest. He looked at the turtle, offering a silent nod of thanks, his heart full of renewed determination and wonder. The turtle returned his gaze, its ancient eyes seemingly conveying a final blessing, a silent encouragement for the path ahead. It then slowly lowered its head, settling back into its tranquil repose beneath the willow tree, becoming once more a silent sentinel of the forest, its role fulfilled for this particular traveler. The magic of the encounter, though concluded, left a deep impression on Sami, weaving itself inextricably into the fabric of his burgeoning adventure. Sami turned, adjusting his canvas bag, and continued on his journey. The path, which had seemed to pause for his encounter with the turtle, now beckoned with renewed urgency. The forest, deeper and wilder than before, stretched out before him, a labyrinth of shadows and light, rustling leaves and towering trunks. Yet he felt no fear, no hesitation. He had the brass compass, its unwavering needle guiding him towards the mountains, and now the leaf-shaped token, a silent promise of clarity when the way grew dim. These artifacts were more than tools. They were companions, allies in his quest for the place where the wind forgets. Each step he took now was imbued with a heightened sense of purpose and wonder. The forest, once a backdrop for his imagined adventures, was now a living, breathing entity, full of secrets and silent guardians. The magic he had always dreamed of was no longer confined to the pages of his maps. It was real, palpable, woven into the very fabric of the world he was exploring. The encounter with the talking turtle, the glowing compass, the star-shaped stepping stones, each was a testament to the extraordinary nature of his chosen path. Sami pressed on, his quiet excitement now tempered with a profound sense of awe, ready for whatever further wonders and challenges the enchanted forest and the mysterious mountains beyond held in store. Leaving the enigmatic turtle and the enchanted stream behind, Sami pressed deeper into the ancient forest. The path, barely discernible, began to ascend, leading him gradually upwards. The trees grew even grander here, their venerable trunks reaching towards the sky like ancient pillars, their canopies so dense that only slivers of sunlight managed to pierce through, dappling the forest floor in shifting patterns of light and shadow. The air grew cooler, thinner, carrying a distinct scent of pine needles and damp earth, mingled with something wilder, something untamed. The gentle hum of the forest deepened, becoming a vast, resonant chord. Soon, the ascent became steeper, leading him to a prominent, mossy hill. It wasn't a jagged peak, but a broad, rounded elevation, its slopes carpeted with a thick, emerald-green moss that felt impossibly soft and springy beneath his boots. As he climbed, he noticed that the trees here were less dense, giving way to open patches, and the sky began to open above him. The brass compass, nestled securely in his jacket, continued its unwavering pull, its warmth a constant guide against his chest. He clambered upwards, his small canvas bag feeling lighter with each determined step, his heart filled with a quiet sense of anticipation. Reaching the summit, Sami found himself on a wide, relatively flat expanse, completely covered in the vibrant moss. The view was breathtaking. Below him, the forest stretched out like a vast, green sea, its canopy undulating towards the horizon. In the distance, the majestic, misty peaks of the mountains he was destined for loomed larger, their upper reaches still veiled in ethereal clouds. But it was the wind here that truly captivated him. Unlike the gentle breezes of the village or the localized drafts of the forest floor, this was a robust, sweeping current, unfettered and free. As the wind wrapped around him, it seemed to do more than simply stir the air. It whispered, not with words he could definitively understand, but with a profound, resonant voice that seemed to speak directly to his soul, right into his ears. It carried stories of old travelers, their spirits perhaps echoing in the very currents that buffeted him. He imagined their journeys, their challenges, their moments of triumph and despair, all woven into the invisible tapestry of the wind's narrative. He felt a deep connection to those who had come before, those who had also sought the unseen and the unknown. The breeze also carried tales of hidden valleys, valleys tucked away between the mighty peaks, secret havens untouched by human footfall. He pictured them, lush and vibrant, teeming with life. Perhaps even the wind forgets place he sought. And then, most enchantingly, the wind spoke of silver trees. Not trees adorned with silver leaves, but trees whose very essence shimmered with a metallic, ethereal glow, their branches catching the light in a way that defied natural explanation. The images flashed through his mind, vivid and alluring, fanned into existence by the wind's evocative whispers. Sami closed his eyes for a moment, letting the full force of the wind embrace him. It wasn't cold or harsh. Instead, it felt strangely comforting, a powerful, ancient presence that seemed to understand his quest. It wrapped around him like a lullaby, a timeless song sung by the earth itself, carrying echoes of countless journeys and the boundless secrets of the wilderness. He imagined it smoothing away any doubts, any lingering weariness, filling him instead with courage and renewed purpose. In that moment, he felt utterly at peace, deeply connected to the wild heart of the world, a willing participant in its grand narrative. He stood there for what felt like an eternity, suspended between the whispering wind and the silent call of the mountains, absorbing the intangible wisdom that swirled around him. The mossy hill felt like a sacred place, a point of communion between the seen and the unseen, the known and the unknown. When he finally opened his eyes, the world seemed sharper, more vibrant, infused with a deeper layer of meaning. The trees below, the distant peaks, the very air he breathed, all felt charged with the magic he had always dreamed of. With a final, deep breath, Sami turned towards the direction indicated by the compass, now more determined than ever. The wind continued its song, a powerful companion urging him onward. The stories it had whispered had not merely entertained him. They had guided him, strengthening his resolve, affirming his belief in the extraordinary. He knew now that the path ahead would be filled with more wonders, more challenges, and more moments where the line between reality and magic blurred. He was ready for it all, his quiet heart beating in rhythm with the ancient lullaby of the wind, his spirit fully aligned with the grand adventure that awaited him deeper within the mysterious mountains. Energized by the wind's ancient lullaby and the whispered tales of silver trees and hidden valleys, Sami descended the mossy hill, his gaze more attuned than ever to the subtle clues of the landscape. The compass, now a steady, warm presence against his chest, continued its unwavering pull towards the mountain range, its golden glow a constant reminder of his purpose. He moved with a renewed sense of purpose, his boots sinking slightly into the deep moss, his eyes scanning the dense foliage for any sign of the path the wind had hinted at. The trees grew incredibly thick here, their branches interlacing so tightly that they formed a nearly impenetrable wall of green. Sunlight, which had been so bright on the hilltop, now struggled to filter through, casting the forest floor into a perpetual twilight. The air became still, hushed, heavy with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. It felt as though the very forest was holding its breath, guarding a secret. Sami pushed through dense clumps of ferns and low-hanging branches, his senses heightened, his intuition guiding him as much as the compass. Then, just as a faint flicker of doubt began to stir within him, he noticed it. A cascade of thick, verdant vines, draped like a heavy curtain between two particularly ancient, gnarled trees. They hung so artfully, so naturally, that they seemed an organic part of the forest wall, easily overlooked. Yet, something about their arrangement, a subtle break in their otherwise uniform drape, caught Sami's discerning eye. It was too perfect, too deliberate to be entirely natural. Felt like an invitation. With a cautious yet resolute hand, Sami parted the heavy curtain of vines. What he found on the other side made his breath catch once more. It was a hidden path, utterly unlike any trail he had encountered thus far. It was remarkably narrow, barely wide enough for one person, and wound its way through the dense undergrowth in gentle serpentine curves. The canopy overhead was so thick here that only the faintest sliver of light penetrated, bathing the path in a perpetual, otherworldly gloom. Yet, despite the dimness, the path was not dark. Beneath his feet, the earth was remarkably soft, almost cushion-like, as if composed of centuries of fallen leaves and rich, dark soil. It gave way with a pleasing springiness with each step, muffling his footfalls completely. And illuminating this secret passage were countless tiny, glowing insects. They clung to the undersides of leaves, to the rough bark of trees, and even shimmered in the air, creating a soft, pulsing constellation of emerald, sapphire, and amber lights. They weren't aggressive or startling. Rather, they glowed with a gentle, benevolent light, guiding him forward like living lanterns. The air in this hidden path was utterly still, devoid of even the slightest breath of wind. It was calm, hushed, almost reverent. A profound sense of tranquility enveloped Sami, a silence so deep it seemed to absorb all other sounds. In this moment, the meaning of the compass's cryptic inscription, "Follow where the wind forgets," resonated with startling clarity. This was it. This was the place, or at least the entrance to it. A place so sheltered, so hidden, that even the sweeping winds of the mossy hill could not penetrate its serene embrace. The compass, tucked away but felt, responded to this realization. It pulsed gently against his chest, its warmth intensifying slightly, no longer just a guide, but a silent encourager, affirming his discovery. It was as if it recognized its destination, its purpose. Sami felt a profound sense of validation, a quiet triumph. All his imaginary maps, all his quiet dreams, all the strange encounters of his journey had led him to this very threshold. He was truly stepping into the heart of the unknown, into a realm that transcended mere geography. With each soft step, surrounded by the quiet glow of the insects and the profound stillness of the air, Sami felt himself shedding the last vestiges of the familiar world. He was no longer just a boy from the village. He was an explorer, a seeker, following an ancient call into a living mystery. The narrow, winding path felt like a direct conduit to his destiny, a passage into the very heart of the magic he had always believed in. The gentle pulsing of the compass, the soft glow of the insects, and the absolute stillness of the air, all conspired to pull him deeper, to reveal more wonders, promising that the true marvels of his journey were only just beginning to unfold. The hidden path, narrow and winding, continued its serpentine course, carrying Sami deeper into the heart of the secluded forest. The glowing insects, his living lanterns, maintained their gentle luminescence, illuminating just enough of the soft, dark earth beneath his feet to guide him. The air remained profoundly still, a testament to the wind forget's promise, and the silence was so deep it felt almost tangible, broken only by his own muffled footsteps. Yet, as he ventured further, a new sensation began to permeate the stillness, a subtle change that hinted at another layer of magic. The air grew progressively cooler and noticeably thicker, laden with moisture. A soft, swirling fog began to coalesce around him, first as wisps, then as delicate tendrils, finally enveloping the path in a luminous, ethereal shroud. It wasn't a dense, disorienting fog, but a gentle, pearlescent mist that softened the edges of everything, transforming the familiar trees into shadowy, indistinct forms. It felt less like an obstruction and more like a veil, parting just enough to reveal the wonders beyond. As the fog deepened, the trees around him underwent a remarkable transformation. Their trunks, already ancient and incredibly wide, seemed to swell with an inner life. They were gnarled and weathered, bearing the marks of countless centuries, their bark covered in intricate patterns of moss and lichen that glowed faintly in the diffused light. But what truly captivated Sami was the subtle, almost imperceptible sound that emanated from them. The trees hummed. It was a low, resonant thrum, a collective, gentle vibration that filled the misty air, a quiet, melodic murmur that seemed to emanate from their very core. It was the forest song, a harmonious choir of ancient wood and vibrant life. And their leaves, oh, their leaves, they were unlike any he had ever seen. Instead of the familiar green, they shimmered with an otherworldly luminescence, catching and refracting the dim light of the foggy air. They glowed like captured moonlight, a soft, silvery radiance that pulsed with a delicate, inner light. Each leaf, individually, seemed to contain a tiny, ethereal lamp, bathing the path in a perpetual dreamlike glow. It was a forest painted in shades of silver and mist, bathed in a gentle, living light. Sami walked slowly, almost reverently, through this enchanted landscape. His steps were soft, hesitant, as if he feared disturbing the delicate balance of this magical realm. His senses were heightened, absorbing every detail. The cool, damp touch of the fog on his skin, the earthy scent of the ancient forest, the mesmerizing glow of the leaves, and above all, the soft, continuous hum of the trees. He listened intently to the forest's quiet song, trying to discern its meaning, to understand the silent language of the ancient wood. It felt like a symphony of peace, a melody of profound tranquility that resonated deep within his soul. The brass compass, nestled close, continued its gentle pulse, its warmth a constant, reassuring presence. Its golden glow seemed to meld seamlessly with the silvery light of the leaves and the pearlescent mist, guiding him through this mystical terrain. He felt no fear, only a profound sense of awe and belonging. This was the magic he had always yearned for, the very essence of the undiscovered worlds he had so meticulously charted in his imagination. To walk amidst humming trees and moonlit leaves was to step into a living dream, a realization of his deepest, most cherished fantasies. He imagined the ancient roots of these trees delving deep into the earth, drawing up not just nutrients but untold stories, ancient wisdom that manifested as their gentle hum. The silvery leaves, he thought, were perhaps collecting moonlight, storing it, and then releasing it in this perpetual glow, illuminating the hidden depths of this forgotten place. This was more than just a beautiful forest. It was a sanctuary, a living testament to the wonders that existed beyond the ordinary, a place truly where the wind forgets and time seemed to slow, allowing for such profound and delicate magic to unfold. Every step was a revelation, every breath a communion. Sami felt a connection to this place, a resonance that echoed the quiet beat of his own heart. He knew that the answers he sought, the place waiting just for him, lay deeper within this ethereal forest. The hum of the trees became a gentle encouragement, the glowing leaves a beacon, inviting him further into the heart of its mystery. He was no longer just following a compass. He was being led by the very soul of the forest itself, deeper into a realm where magic was the air he breathed and wonder was the ground beneath his feet. The adventure, he realized, had truly just begun to reveal its most breathtaking secrets. The ethereal journey through the foggy forest, where ancient trees hummed their quiet song and leaves shimmered like captured moonlight, continued its enchanting course. Sami walked with a sense of profound wonder, his pace slow and deliberate, each step a further immersion into this mystical realm. The absolute stillness of the air, the soft mist, and the constant, gentle thrum of the venerable trees created an atmosphere of deep tranquility, a silent invitation to lose himself in the magic. The brass compass, a warm, pulsing anchor against his chest, remained steadfast, its golden glow a silent reassurance. As the path led him deeper, weaving through the colossal trunks of the humming trees, new sources of light began to emerge from the forest floor. Sami noticed them first as faint, scattered pinpricks of luminescence amidst the deep moss and decaying leaves. Soon, however, they grew more numerous, coalescing into distinct clusters. These were glowing mushrooms, their caps and stems radiating a soft, inner light. They weren't brightly colored or overtly fantastical, but rather possessed a subtle, almost shy radiance, their hues ranging from a pale, pearlescent white to a soft, mossy green, to a gentle, golden amber. These luminous fungi lined the edges of the narrow trail, forming a natural, living pathway. They cast a soft, diffused glow that mingled seamlessly with the silvery light of the leaves and the pearlescent mist, creating a truly otherworldly illumination. It was enough light to clearly see the path ahead, yet it preserved the intimate, dreamlike quality of the forest. The gentle glow was not static. It pulsed. Each mushroom seemed to possess its own subtle rhythm, blinking like tiny, earthbound stars. Some pulsed slowly, a steady, hypnotic beat, while others flickered more rapidly, like mischievous sprites dancing in the dim light. Sami found himself utterly captivated by this silent, sparkling spectacle. It was as if the forest floor itself had come alive with 1,000 miniature beacons, each one contributing to a vast, organic constellation. These blinking mushrooms felt like sentinels, quiet guides leading him further into the woods, deeper into the heart of its mystery. Their gentle, rhythmic blinking was incredibly soothing, a silent dialogue between the forest and the traveler, an unspoken promise of guidance and protection. He felt an undeniable sense of being cared for, of being watched over by the benevolent spirit of the ancient wood. In this profoundly enchanted setting, Sami felt a profound sense of safety. Any trepidation he might have harbored about venturing alone into the unknown wilderness had completely dissipated, replaced by an overwhelming feeling of security and belonging. It was as if the forest itself was a living entity, a vast, wise guardian extending its protection to him. The humming of the trees felt like a protective embrace, the silvery leaves a shimmering cloak, and now, the glowing mushrooms, blinking like watchful eyes, affirmed that he was not alone. He was a welcome guest, guided by the very essence of this magical place. He reached out a hand, hovering it gently over one of the glowing mushrooms. He didn't touch it, respecting its delicate luminescence, but he felt a faint, cool emanation, a subtle energy that resonated with the warmth of his compass. It was a testament to the symbiotic relationship between all the magical elements of this forest. The humming trees, the moonlit leaves, the softly glowing fungi, and even the still, windless air. Each played its part in creating this haven, this place where the wind forgets. The path continued its gentle winding, each bend revealing new clusters of blinking mushrooms, new vistas of silvery leaves, new nuances in the constant hum of the ancient trees. Sami walked on, his heart full of quiet gratitude and boundless wonder. He knew, with an unwavering certainty, that he was on the right path, following the call of a destiny that was unfolding with every magical step. The forest was not merely a collection of trees and plants. It was a living, breathing companion, a wise old friend who was gently leading him closer to the ultimate secret it held. The adventure had now taken on a truly dreamlike quality, blurring the lines between reality and enchantment, drawing him ever deeper into its irresistible embrace. The safety he felt was not just a feeling. It was a profound connection, a bond forged between a boy and a living magical world. Guided by the shimmering glow of the moonlit leaves and the rhythmic blinking of the luminous mushrooms, Sami continued his slow, quiet journey deeper into the heart of the foggy forest. The ancient trees maintained their soft, continuous hum, a pervasive, gentle melody that resonated through the still, cool air. Each step on the soft, moss-covered earth felt cushioned and silent, further enhancing the dreamlike quality of his surroundings. The brass compass, nestled securely against his chest, throbbed with a steady, comforting warmth, its golden light blending with the ethereal radiance of the forest. The path, still narrow and winding, led him into an even denser part of the woods. Here, the fog seemed to concentrate, swirling in soft eddies around the ancient tree trunks, creating a sense of profound enclosure and intimacy. The glowing mushrooms were particularly abundant here, forming luminous pathways that twinkled like fallen stars. Sami's senses were fully alive, alert to every subtle detail, every whisper of the enchanted forest. He was completely immersed, a silent observer in a world brimming with hidden life. As he rounded a gentle bend in the path, nestled at the base of a particularly wide, moss-covered tree, a sight emerged that brought Sami to a complete, silent halt. There, in a perfectly formed nest, a bed of soft, downy feathers interwoven with vibrant green moss, a fox lay curled in peaceful slumber. It was a creature of striking beauty, its fur a rich, fiery russet that contrasted softly with the muted greens and grays of its bed. Its tail, a magnificent brush of orange and white, was wrapped tightly around its body, and its muzzle was tucked neatly beneath its paws, a picture of absolute tranquility. Sami stood utterly still, holding his breath, mesmerized by the quiet beauty of the sleeping animal. He felt a powerful urge not to disturb it, to respect the profound peace of its rest. He knew that the creatures of the forest were a vital part of its magic, and this fox, curled so contentedly, seemed to embody the very essence of the forest's serenity. Its presence here, so unguarded and at peace, further underscored the feeling of safety and protection that Sami had come to associate with this mystical place. The forest was not only watching over him, but also over its own. He began to tiptoe past, moving with the utmost care, his feet barely brushing the mossy ground. Each step was an exercise in deliberate gentleness, a silent promise not to break the spell of the fox's dreams. He watched, fascinated, as the fox's chest rose and fell slowly, rhythmically, with a quiet, almost imperceptible motion. It was a gentle, steady cadence, perfectly synchronized with the soft, continuous hum of the ancient trees and the gentle pulse of the glowing mushrooms. It felt as if the fox's very breath was in harmony with the forest's own vital energy, a living embodiment of the forest's breath. In that moment, Sami felt an even deeper connection to this extraordinary place. The fox wasn't just an animal. It was a symbol, a living manifestation of the profound peace and delicate balance that defined this forgotten realm. Its peaceful sleep, undisturbed by his presence, spoke volumes about the inherent safety and ancient magic that permeated every corner of this enchanted wood. It reinforced his conviction that he was precisely where he was meant to be, following a path that led not to danger, but to deeper understanding and profound wonder. He continued on, slowly and silently, until the sleeping fox and its feathery nest faded gently from view behind the swirling mist. The image, however, remained vividly etched in his mind, a testament to the quiet, powerful beauty of the magical forest. The encounter filled him with a renewed sense of purpose and a deeper appreciation for the subtle wonders that awaited him. The compass, still warm and guiding, seemed to pulse with a slightly more gentle rhythm, as if mirroring the serene scene he had just witnessed. Sami knew that such moments were not mere happenstance but integral parts of his adventure, each one a thread in the rich tapestry of his journey. The forest was revealing its secrets not through grand pronouncements, but through these quiet, intimate encounters, moments of unexpected beauty and profound tranquility. He walked on, his heart full, listening to the soft, rhythmic hum of the ancient trees, feeling the forest's breath all around him, eager for whatever quiet marvels lay hidden just beyond the next bend in the path. The adventure was truly alive, breathing and dreaming around him. Leaving the peacefully slumbering fox and its mossy nest behind, Sami continued his winding journey deeper into the heart of the enchanted forest. The glowing mushrooms continued to twinkle like earthbound stars. The ancient trees hummed their continuous, soft melody, and the air remained perfectly still, thick with the scent of damp earth and unseen blossoms. The path, though still narrow and winding, began a gentle ascent once more, gradually leading him upwards through the pearlescent mist. The compass, a constant, comforting warmth against his chest, maintained its steady golden pulse, guiding him with unwavering resolve. The ascent grew subtly steeper, and the forest, while still dense, began to thin slightly, allowing more of the sky to become visible through the canopy. Sami could sense a change in the air, a subtle shift in the forest's symphony, a quiet anticipation that mirrored the growing excitement within him. He pushed through a final thicket of silvery-leaved trees, parting a curtain of mist-laden branches, and suddenly found himself no longer beneath the forest canopy, but on the precipice of something vast and magnificent. He had reached a cliff edge. The path abruptly ended at a sheer drop, revealing an immense, sweeping vista that stole his breath away. The air here was cooler, crisper, carrying a faint, invigorating tang of height and open space. And in that precise moment, as Sami stood at the very edge, the sun began its majestic ascent. The eastern sky, previously a uniform, deep indigo, erupted into a breathtaking palette of soft, delicate hues. First, a faint blush of rose appeared along the horizon, gradually deepening into vibrant shades of pink, peach, and coral. These colors then bled seamlessly into streaks of shimmering gold and fiery orange, painting the clouds above him in strokes of pure light. The transformation was slow and deliberate, a silent, cosmic ballet unfolding before his eyes. The light, gentle at first, steadily grew in intensity, washing over the landscape with a warmth that touched not just the world, but Sami's very soul. Below him, an immense valley stretched out, cradled between the towering, mist-shrouded peaks of the mountains. The entire valley floor was covered in a thick, ethereal blanket of morning mist, swirling gently like a vast, silent ocean. The mist shimmered with an inner light, catching the nascent rays of the rising sun and transforming into a sea of pearlescent silver and gold. It was a sight of unimaginable beauty, a world born anew in the soft, nascent light of dawn. The wind forgets place, he realized, was not a single point but perhaps this entire hidden realm, shielded and pristine, perpetually veiled in magic. Sami sank to the ground, settling quietly on the mossy edge of the cliff. He didn't speak, didn't move, didn't even think to pull out his notebook. He simply sat, letting the overwhelming beauty of the scene wash over him, letting it seep into every fiber of his being. The world seemed to hold its breath with him, in silent reverence for the spectacle. He felt the soft, cool rock beneath his hands, the gentle kiss of the morning breeze on his face, the warmth of the rising sun on his skin. This was not merely a view. It was an experience, a profound moment of connection with something far greater than himself. His heart, which had been a steady drumbeat of excitement throughout his journey, now settled into an even deeper, calmer rhythm. It was a feeling of profound peace, of absolute contentment, as if every expectation, every longing, every quiet dream he had ever held, had culminated in this single perfect moment. The beauty of the sunrise, the shimmering valley, the sheer majesty of the mountains, all conspired to fill his heart to overflowing. He felt a sense of belonging, an understanding that this vast, beautiful, mysterious world was not separate from him, but an extension of his own spirit. He closed his eyes for a moment, not to escape the vision, but to internalize it, to let the beauty settle into his heart, to become a part of him. He imagined the subtle textures of the colors, the intricate dance of the mist, the silent strength of the mountains. When he opened them again, the scene was still there, vibrant and awe-inspiring, but now it felt different. It felt woven into the very fabric of his being. This wasn't just the end of one leg of his journey. It was a profound moment of arrival, a realization that the magic he had pursued was not just out there, but also deeply within him. The adventure, he realized, was not about conquering, but about experiencing, about opening oneself to the wonders of the world. And here, at the edge of this glorious vista, bathed in the gentle hues of dawn, Sami felt utterly, wonderfully complete. The compass, warm against his chest, pulsed with a gentle, satisfied glow, as if acknowledging that they had found something truly extraordinary together. He sat there, for a long, beautiful time, simply existing in the magnificence, letting the quiet strength and breathtaking beauty of the world settle deeply into his very soul. The day progressed, a tranquil expanse after the breathtaking sunrise. Sami spent hours at the cliff's edge, sketching in his notebook, observing the subtle shifts in the mist below, and simply absorbing the immense peace of the moment. The sun, having climbed to its zenith, now began its slow, deliberate descent towards the western horizon. The sky, which had been a brilliant azure, gradually softened, echoing the morning's colors but in reverse, deepening from pale blues to warm oranges and purples as evening approached. The valley mist, having burned off partially under the midday sun, began to reform, lending an ethereal quality to the gathering twilight. As the sun dipped low once more, painting the clouds in fiery hues of crimson and gold, a remarkable phenomenon began to unfold before Sami's eyes. Across the deep, shadowy ravine that lay just beyond the cliff's edge, a chasm he hadn't noticed in the blinding light of dawn, a structure began to materialize. It wasn't a sudden, jarring appearance, but a gradual, almost organic growth, as if born from the very essence of the forest and the deepening twilight. From the gnarled roots of an ancient tree on Sami's side of the ravine, and reaching across to a similar venerable tree on the opposite bank, a bridge began to form. It was a bridge of woven vines, thick and sinuous, interlocked with an intricate natural artistry that seemed beyond human design. As it materialized, it began to glow, faintly at first, then with a steady, soft luminescence, echoing the glow of the leaves and mushrooms he had encountered earlier. The light was gentle, an inner radiance that seemed to pulse with a quiet life, bathing the bridge in a soft, emerald green hue that contrasted beautifully with the deepening blues and purples of the twilight sky. The bridge stretched across the vast expanse of the ravine, a seemingly impossible span over a dizzying drop. The chasm below was shrouded in the reforming mist, its depths unknown and mysterious, but the glowing bridge offered a clear, inviting path. It wasn't a rigid, unyielding structure. Its construction hinted at flexibility, a natural resilience. It beckoned Sami forward, a luminous thread leading into the darkening unknown. Sami rose from his seated position, his heart once again quickening with a thrill of anticipation. The brass compass, which had been peacefully warm against his chest throughout the day, now pulsed with a more insistent, vibrant glow, as if sensing the significance of this new development. It was as though the forest itself, having allowed him a day of quiet contemplation, was now ready to reveal its next, most profound secret. He approached the bridge slowly, his gaze fixed on its shimmering, woven surface. He reached out a hand, tracing the texture of one of the thick, glowing vines. It felt smooth yet firm, imbued with the same gentle warmth he had come to associate with the magical elements of this place. The craftsmanship was astounding, a testament to the unseen forces that shaped this enchanted realm. There was no doubt in his mind. This was the way forward, the next step on his extraordinary journey. With a deep breath, Sami stepped onto the bridge. Immediately, he felt the vines sway gently beneath his feet. It wasn't an alarming lurch, but a soft, rhythmic undulation, like walking on a living, breathing entity. The movement was slow and reassuring, mimicking the natural sway of a tree in the wind, or the gentle ebb and flow of the forest's own breath. The glowing beneath his feet intensified slightly with each step, creating a luminous ripple effect across the bridge's length. The experience was both exhilarating and profoundly peaceful. The soft swaying spoke of the bridge's organic nature, its connection to the ancient trees and the living essence of the forest. It felt safe, almost protective, as if the bridge itself was welcoming him, carrying him gently across the formidable chasm. Below him, the mist swirled, obscuring the depths, creating a sense of boundless mystery. Ahead, the glowing path stretched into the deepening twilight, a beacon guiding him towards whatever lay beyond the ravine. Each step was a promise, a commitment to delve deeper into the wonders of this magical land. Sami walked with quiet confidence, his heart full of awe, his spirit attuned to the extraordinary nature of his surroundings. The sun finally dipped below the horizon, casting the world in true twilight, but the glowing bridge provided ample light, leading him onward. He was no longer just a traveler. He was a participant, intimately woven into the unfolding narrative of this enchanting realm, his adventure continuing to transcend even his wildest imaginings. The gentle sway beneath his feet was a silent invitation, pulling him towards the ultimate secret that awaited him across the ravine. With each deliberate step across the gently swaying, vine-woven bridge, Sami felt an undeniable surge of energy. The soft, luminous glow of the bridge intensified beneath his feet, creating a continuous ripple of emerald light that extended across the vast, misty ravine. The twilight deepened around him, painting the sky in ever richer shades of indigo and violet, but the bridge served as a steadfast beacon, guiding him through the encroaching darkness. Below, the swirling mist concealed the ravine's depths, adding an element of thrilling mystery to his crossing. As he moved, the brass compass, which had been a quiet, comforting thrum against his chest throughout his journey, now began to pulse with a noticeably stronger intensity. Its golden glow, visible even through his jacket, seemed to beat in rhythm with his own quickening heart. It wasn't an alarming pulse, but a powerful, resonant vibration, a clear and unmistakable signal. Sami knew with an almost visceral certainty that he was getting closer to something special, something profoundly significant. The compass was not merely showing him the way. It was actively reacting to the approaching destination, almost vibrating with anticipation itself. The sensation in the air also began to change dramatically. The heavy, still, and humid atmosphere that had characterized the windless forest and the ravine's depths started to dissipate. With every few steps forward, the air felt perceptibly lighter, crisper, and imbued with a fresh, invigorating quality. It was as if he was ascending not just across a chasm, but through layers of atmosphere, moving from a dense, forgotten pocket into a realm of renewed vibrancy. This lightness was both physical and spiritual, lifting his spirits and sharpening his senses. And then, carried on a newly emerging gentle breeze, came a sense so exquisite and profound that it made Sami pause mid-step, drawing a deep, appreciative breath. It was the distinct, sweet, and complex fragrance of blooming flowers, not just one kind, but a rich tapestry of floral aromas, interwoven with a hint of something fresh and green, almost impossibly vibrant. These were flowers he hadn't yet seen, blossoms that clearly belonged to a land of extraordinary beauty and vitality, a symphony of scents promising unseen wonders just beyond the mists. The fragrance was carried on the subtle breath of the wind, a wind that here, across the ravine, seemed to remember its way. The contrast with the still, silent, and moss-scented air of the wind forgets forest was striking. This new, fragrant breeze felt like a welcoming embrace, a gentle whisper of the life that awaited him. It filled his lungs, invigorated his mind, and further solidified his conviction that he was on the cusp of a truly remarkable discovery. The combined sensory inputs, the pulsing compass, the lighter air, the intoxicating floral scent, created an overwhelming sense of approaching wonder, a crescendo of anticipation for whatever lay ahead. He pressed on, each sway of the bridge beneath his feet a confirmation, each pulse of the compass a heartbeat of destiny. His quiet excitement, which had been a constant companion since leaving his village, now blossomed into an exhilarating joy. He imagined lush gardens, vibrant meadows, and perhaps the legendary silver trees, all bathed in this sweet, floral perfume. The riddle, the turtle, the humming trees, the glowing mushrooms, the dawn on the cliff, all these moments had been building to this grand revelation, this arrival at the true heart of the journey. As he neared the far side of the ravine, the mist on that bank seemed to thin, revealing hints of verdant growth, of structures perhaps, though still indistinct in the deepening twilight. The air grew even lighter, the floral scent stronger, and the compass's pulse became a steady, powerful thrum, a beacon guiding him home, not to the home he left, but to a place designed for his spirit. The feeling of safety, which had accompanied him through the forest, now transformed into a sense of joyous belonging, as if he were returning to a place he had always known, always yearned for. Finally, his feet touched solid ground on the opposite side of the ravine. He turned to look back and saw the vine bridge still glowing softly, gracefully spanning the chasm, a beautiful, living conduit between two worlds. He had crossed not just a ravine, but a profound threshold, leaving the depths of the wind forgets forest behind and entering a realm where the wind carried sweet secrets, where magic vibrated in the very air, and where something special, truly extraordinary, awaited his discovery. He took another deep breath, letting the incredible scent of unseen flowers fill him completely, ready to embrace whatever wonders the morning light would reveal. As Sami's boots made contact with the solid earth on the far side of the vine bridge, a subtle yet profound transformation rippled through his surroundings. The gentle sway of the bridge, which had been his companion across the vast ravine, ceased behind him. He glanced back, seeing the woven vines continue their soft, emerald glow, now a luminous arc connecting two distinct worlds. He had indeed crossed a significant threshold, leaving one phase of his journey behind to step into another. The brass compass, which he had instinctively taken from his chest and now held firmly in his hand, pulsed warmly against his palm. Its golden light seemed to intensify, no longer just a gentle thrum but a steady, vibrant beat, almost like a living heart. The needle, previously unwavering, now quivered with an almost eager anticipation, pointing steadfastly forward, deeper into this new, mysterious land. Its warmth was a comforting, familiar presence, a direct conduit to the unseen forces guiding his quest. The forest around him, which had been a symphony of soft hums and gentle rustles on the other side of the ravine, now grew remarkably quieter. It wasn't a sudden, alarming silence, but a gradual hush, as if the trees themselves were holding their breath in reverence or anticipation. The continuous, low thrum of the ancient trees, so prevalent in the wind forgets forest, faded into a soft murmur, almost imperceptible. The rhythmic blinking of the glowing mushrooms, too, seemed to dim slightly, receding into the background as the landscape shifted. It was a respectful silence, a pause before revelation, a quiet acknowledgement of his arrival in a place of even greater significance. Sami felt the air shift around him once more, a transformation that was both subtle and unmistakable. The lingering mist, which had veiled the ravine and parts of the forest, began to recede, parting like a stage curtain revealing a new scene. The air grew distinctly lighter, a crisp, clean breath that filled his lungs with invigorating freshness. This was an air unburdened by the heavy stillness of the previous forest, an air that seemed to shimmer with an inherent lightness and clarity. And with this lightness came an intensified fragrance. The faint scent of blooming flowers, which had wafted across the vine bridge, now became a rich, immersive perfume. It was a complex tapestry of floral notes, sweet, heady, and utterly captivating, mingled with hints of verdant growth and pure, vital earth. It spoke of gardens unseen, of blossoms more exquisite than any he had ever imagined, a promise of vibrant life and unparalleled beauty. This wasn't merely a pleasant aroma. It was a guide, an irresistible invitation, pulling him deeper into the unknown. He took a slow, deliberate step forward, then another, allowing the sensations to envelop him completely. The ground beneath his feet was still soft, but felt firmer, more resilient, almost eager to support his journey. The silence of the forest was not empty. It was pregnant with possibility, a canvas upon which new wonders were about to be painted. The lighter, fragrant air felt like a gentle current, guiding his every movement, pulling him inexorably towards the source of the compass's powerful pulse and the intoxicating perfume. Sami knew, without a shadow of a doubt, that he was very close to the ultimate destination of his quest, the place waiting just for him. The previous encounters, the talking turtle, the glowing stream, the whispering wind, the humming trees, and the blinking mushrooms, had all been preludes, preparations for this moment. Each step on this new ground felt imbued with a profound sense of destiny, a culmination of all his dreams and imaginings. He was no longer a boy merely following a map. He was an active participant in a living legend, stepping into a realm where magic was not just present, but the very fabric of existence. With the compass pulsing warmly in his hand, the hushed forest holding its breath, and the fragrant air guiding him deeper, Sami felt a profound sense of anticipation. His heart beat strong and steady, filled with a quiet courage and an insatiable curiosity. He was ready for whatever wonders lay just beyond the next veil of trees, ready to finally encounter the something special that had called to him across the fields, through the enchanted forest, and over the glowing ravine. The journey, he realized, had truly just begun its most breathtaking chapter. Guided by the increasingly vibrant pulse of the brass compass and the intoxicating scent of unseen blossoms, Sami ventured deeper into the new, hushed realm beyond the vine bridge. The air was remarkably light, almost buoyant, and the silence of the forest was so profound it felt sacred, a pause before a great revelation. Every sense was alive, finely tuned to the subtle cues of this enchanted landscape. As he moved forward, navigating the soft, fragrant earth, a new sound, delicate and captivating, reached his ears. It was a soft, rhythmic fluttering, light as a whisper, yet distinct enough to draw his attention. It wasn't the hurried flap of a startled bird, nor the rustle of leaves, but a gentle, almost musical beat, as if tiny, silken wings were beating the air with exquisite precision. Sami followed the sound, his gaze sweeping upwards through the increasingly open canopy. The trees here were different. While still ancient, their leaves seemed to glow with a softer, more diffused light than those in the wind forgets forest, and their branches were adorned with clusters of unfamiliar, luminous blossoms that contributed to the rich, fragrant air. And then he saw it, perched gracefully on a low, moss-covered branch, almost at eye level, was a bird of breathtaking beauty. It was small and delicate, yet its presence commanded attention. Its feathers were not of any color Sami had ever seen. They shimmered, not with a static, metallic sheen, but with an iridescent, ethereal glow, like fragments of captured rainbows. As it moved its head, the light caught its plumage, shifting from soft blues to vibrant greens, then to subtle purples and golds, creating a constant, mesmerizing display. It was a living jewel, a creature born of pure light and magic. The bird tilted its head, its dark, intelligent eyes meeting Sami's gaze with an uncanny awareness. There was no fear in its expression, only a quiet curiosity, a gentle invitation. It seemed to study him for a long moment, as if assessing his heart and intent. Sami stood utterly still, his own heart beating a soft rhythm in time with the compass's steady pulse, captivated by the creature's serene beauty and evident wisdom. He felt a deep sense of connection, an intuition that this bird was more than just a forest dweller. It was another guide, another piece of the living magic unfolding around him. Then, with another soft, almost silent flutter of its shimmering wings, the bird launched itself from the branch. It didn't dart away swiftly, but flew ahead slowly, deliberately, maintaining a gentle, unhurried pace. It moved with an effortless grace, its luminous feathers leaving faint trails of light in the air. As it flew, it often paused, hovering gently in the air, or perching briefly on a low-hanging branch just ahead, tilting its head back towards Sami. Each pause was a clear, unmistakable gesture, an invitation to follow, to entrust himself to its delicate guidance. Sami understood immediately. This was a new companion for his journey, a sentient beacon leading him towards whatever lay at the heart of this enchanted land. He felt no hesitation, only a profound sense of gratitude and wonder. The forest, which had been silent moments before, now seemed to breathe around him in soft exhalations of fragrant air, as if encouraging him to accept the bird's lead. The compass in his hand continued its strong, warm pulse, its golden light seeming to affirm the bird's gentle guidance. He began to follow, his steps light and silent on the soft earth. The bird maintained its gentle distance, always just ahead, always within sight, its shimmering feathers a constant, guiding light in the deepening twilight. The path it led him on was subtle, almost invisible, winding between trees adorned with luminous blossoms and through patches of impossibly soft, glowing moss. The air grew ever lighter, ever more fragrant, pulling him deeper into the heart of this miraculous realm. Every beat of the bird's wings, every soft flutter, felt like a note in a silent, beautiful song, drawing him closer to the special place. Sami felt utterly safe, profoundly guided, as if the very essence of the forest had manifested itself in this delicate, luminous creature. He was no longer just a boy on an adventure. He was a participant in a living fairy tale, led by a bird of pure light, towards a destination that promised to be beyond even his wildest, most cherished dreams. His heart swelled with a quiet joy, embracing this new, magical connection and the unfolding wonders it promised. The shimmering bird, a beacon of ethereal light and grace, continued to lead Sami deeper into the heart of the enchanted realm. Its delicate, iridescent feathers pulsed with a soft glow in the deepening twilight, a guiding light that cut through the thinning mist. The air remained light and impossibly fragrant, a sweet perfume that danced on a gentle, new breeze. The brass compass in Sami's hand, a constant source of warmth and direction, beat with a strong, steady pulse, aligning perfectly with the bird's gentle onward flight. However, the path the bird chose was not a straight or obvious one. It led Sami into what quickly became a veritable maze of trees. Here, the ancient trunks, adorned with luminous blossoms and velvety moss, grew in a dense, almost impenetrable thicket. The paths twisted and turned, looping back on themselves, crisscrossing in intricate, disorienting patterns. What might have been an open space a moment ago would suddenly be blocked by a wall of glowing foliage, forcing a change in direction. The ground, still soft and fragrant, rose and fell in subtle undulations, adding to the bewildering complexity of the terrain. Any ordinary traveler might have felt a prickle of panic, a rising sense of disorientation in such an intricate labyrinth. The winding paths seemed designed to confuse, to challenge one's sense of direction and purpose. But Sami, though keenly aware of the maze-like nature of his surroundings, didn't panic. A profound sense of calm settled over him, a quiet assurance born from the extraordinary encounters he had already experienced. He trusted the magic of this forest, and he trusted the gentle guidance of the shimmering bird. He remembered the turtle's words, spoken with the voice of rustling leaves. "This will guide you when the forest forgets its way." Reaching into his small leather pouch, Sami retrieved the leaf-shaped token. Its smooth, green surface, cool to the touch despite its inner warmth, felt instantly reassuring in his hand. He held it close, pressing it gently against his palm, feeling its subtle energy resonate with the pulse of the compass and the steady flutter of the bird's wings. It wasn't merely a physical object. It was a symbol, a tangible piece of the forest's wisdom, a promise of clarity. As he held the token, Sami felt an even deeper connection to the forest. It was as if the ancient woods, despite its bewildering twists and turns, was not trying to lose him, but rather to test his trust, to invite him to truly feel his way forward. The glowing mushrooms, though less abundant here, still offered faint beacons, and the fragrance of the unseen flowers seemed to intensify along the correct route, acting as an olfactory guide. The shimmering bird, his primary guide, never strayed too far, its iridescent feathers a constant, reassuring light in the soft twilight. He walked with an intentional slowness, allowing his intuition to lead him, rather than relying solely on visual cues. The winding paths became less a source of confusion and more a delightful dance, a graceful negotiation with the living landscape. Each twist and turn felt purposeful, each momentary obscuring of the way a gentle nudge towards a deeper understanding of the forest's intricate design. Sami understood that this maze was not a barrier, but a ritual, a final test of his faith in the magic that had brought him this far. His heart remained steady, his resolve unwavering. The warmth of the compass in one hand, the smooth, reassuring token in the other, and the shimmering bird fluttering just ahead, all conspired to create an unshakable sense of security. He was not lost. He was simply being guided through a particularly artful gateway, a final, beautiful challenge before reaching his destination. He trusted the forest to show him the way, to reveal its secrets in its own time and manner. With each step, the air seemed to grow even lighter, the floral fragrance even more intoxicating. The maze, rather than feeling constricting, began to feel expansive, a journey through ever-deepening layers of wonder. The bird's gentle pauses and head tilts were not just invitations to follow, but moments of shared understanding, a silent dialogue between guide and seeker. Sami was learning to speak the language of the enchanted forest, to understand its subtle gestures and its profound wisdom. The confusion of the maze transformed into a joyous exploration, a final, beautiful chapter before the grand reveal. Through the intricate labyrinth of glowing trees and winding, fragrant paths, Sami continued to follow the shimmering bird. The leaf-shaped token, clutched gently in one hand, resonated with a quiet warmth, while the brass compass in the other pulsed with an ever-stronger beat. The air, impossibly light and sweet with the perfume of unseen blossoms, felt almost alive, carrying him deeper into the heart of this wondrous maze. The bird, his delicate guide, never faltered, its iridescent feathers a constant, moving beacon. Just when the twists and turns of the path seemed to reach their most complex, when the glowing foliage felt most dense, a new sound began to filter through the pervasive quiet of the enchanted forest. It wasn't the hum of the ancient trees, nor the soft flutter of the bird's wings, but something entirely new, yet profoundly familiar. It was the sound of flowing water, but unlike any he had ever heard. It wasn't the crashing roar of a powerful torrent, nor the gentle gurgle of a stream. This sound was soft, melodic, almost musical. The shimmering bird paused, hovering momentarily in the air before a particularly dense curtain of glowing vines and blossoms, then darted through an almost imperceptible opening. Sami, his senses heightened, followed, parting the luminous veil. What lay beyond brought him to another complete halt, his breath catching in his throat once more. In the very heart of the maze, hidden away within a natural amphitheater formed by towering, ancient trees, he found a waterfall that truly sang. The water cascaded down from a great height, not in a tumultuous plunge, but in soft, melodic waves, each wave seeming to carry its own distinct note. It fell into a crystal-clear pool below, creating a symphony of gentle splashes and resonant echoes that filled the entire space. The sound was pure, ethereal, and utterly captivating. A liquid melody composed by the forest itself. The water itself glowed faintly, reflecting the light of the luminous trees and the shimmering bird. It wasn't the blinding white of a conventional waterfall, but a soft, opalescent flow, a living curtain of light and sound. Each wave, as it descended, seemed to create a new layer in the waterfall's song, building a complex yet harmonious composition that was both powerful and incredibly soothing. It was a music that spoke directly to the soul, bypassing the intellect and settling deep within the heart. Sami felt an immediate, profound sense of peace wash over him. The ceaseless, beautiful music of the waterfall seemed to soothe every part of him. His mind, which had been alert and focused throughout the maze, now felt calm and clear. His body, though not weary, relaxed into the moment, and his spirit, already filled with wonder, resonated with the waterfall's pure, resonant tones. It was as if the music was washing over his thoughts, cleansing them, leaving behind a tranquil clarity. He moved closer, drawn by the irresistible melody, and found a soft, mossy bank beside the pool. Here, surrounded by glowing flowers and trees, with the shimmering bird perched quietly on a nearby branch, Sami sat. He didn't speak, he didn't sketch, he didn't even consult his compass. He simply sat, letting the music of the waterfall fill the air and permeate his being. He closed his eyes, allowing the melodic waves of water to wash over his thoughts, dissolving any lingering questions, any echoes of the outside world, any remaining traces of effort or striving. In this moment, enveloped by the waterfall's song, Sami felt an exquisite lightness, a profound sense of belonging. The maze, the journey, the quest, all seemed to coalesce into this single, perfect point of profound tranquility. The place where the wind forgets was not just a destination. It was a state of being, a sanctuary of pure, unadulterated peace. The waterfall was its voice, singing a lullaby of ancient wisdom and boundless harmony. He sat there for a long, immeasurable time, absorbing the music, letting its gentle power settle deep into his heart. The compass in his hand pulsed gently, warmly, no longer urging him forward with intense excitement, but rather with a quiet satisfaction, as if confirming that he had indeed found something truly special. The shimmering bird watched over him, a silent guardian, its iridescent feathers glowing softly in the twilight. Sami felt utterly at peace, a quiet joy blooming within him, understanding that this was a moment to simply be, to listen, and to allow the profound beauty of this magical world to fully integrate with his spirit. This was not merely a rest, it was a deep communion. Enveloped by the ethereal song of the waterfall, Sami lingered on the mossy bank, allowing the melodic waves of water to wash over his thoughts. The shimmering bird remained perched nearby, a silent, iridescent sentinel, while the brass compass in his hand continued its gentle, satisfied pulse. The air, still light and fragrant, carried the soothing music to every corner of the hidden amphitheater, a sanctuary of profound peace at the heart of the enchanted maze. After a long, unhurried while, a subtle stirring within Sami prompted him to move. It wasn't an urge to continue his journey immediately, but a quiet, compelling desire to connect more deeply with the source of this extraordinary serenity. The waterfall, with its pure, luminous flow and its harmonious song, beckoned him not just to listen, but to partake. He rose slowly, his movements as fluid and unhurried as the water itself. The ground beneath his feet, soft and cushioned with moss, felt intimately connected to the earth, grounded and stable. He approached the edge of the crystal-clear pool where the singing water collected, its surface reflecting the subtle glows of the surrounding foliage and the faint light of the twilight sky. The air directly around the waterfall was cooler, imbued with the refreshing spray of the falling water, a delicate mist that kissed his skin. Kneeling at the water's edge, Sami cupped his hands. The motion felt instinctive, primal, a natural response to the purity and invitation of the waterfall. As he dipped his hands into the pool, the water felt incredibly cool, a refreshing contrast to the gentle warmth that had settled in the air. It was remarkably clear, so transparent that he could see the smooth, luminous pebbles at the bottom of the pool. The sensation was invigorating, a gentle awakening of his senses. He brought his cupped hands to his lips, carefully, reverently. The water, as it touched his tongue, was exquisitely sweet. It wasn't the artificial sweetness of a refined sugar, but a natural, subtle sweetness, like that of fresh mountain spring water, yet imbued with something more, something profoundly pure and life-giving. It tasted of earth and light, of ancient wisdom and boundless tranquility. It was the very essence of the enchanted forest, distilled into a single perfect draught. And as the cool, sweet water flowed over his lips and down his throat, Sami felt an extraordinary transformation settle within him. It wasn't a sudden, dramatic burst of magic, but a calm clarity that spread through his entire being, starting from the deepest part of his spirit and radiating outwards. It was like a gentle breeze, soft and cleansing, brushing away every last trace of worry, doubt, or lingering question. Any small anxieties about the journey, any remnants of the outside world, any subtle tensions he might have unconsciously carried, all dissolved under the soothing influence of the water. His mind, which had always been keen and inquisitive, felt sharper, yet also profoundly peaceful. It was a clarity born not of intense thought, but of inner stillness. His heart, already filled with wonder, now beat with a quiet, unwavering confidence. He felt refreshed, rejuvenated, as if the water had not only quenched a physical thirst but had nourished his very soul. This was the true magic he had sought, not an outward display of power, but an inward transformation, a deep, abiding peace that settled within him. He took another sip, then another, savoring the cool sweetness, allowing the calm clarity to deepen its hold. The singing waterfall continued its melodic flow, its music now seeming to resonate within him, a harmonious echo of the peace he felt. The shimmering bird, still watching, seemed to nod its delicate head in silent approval. The brass compass in his hand, which had pulsed with such anticipation earlier, now rested warm and steady, its golden glow a gentle affirmation of his inner state. Sami knew with an unshakable certainty that he had found what he was looking for. The place waiting just for him was not just a physical location, but a state of being, a profound connection to the heart of magic, now flowing within him. The water from the singing waterfall was not just refreshment. It was a sacrament, a communion with the deepest mysteries of the enchanted realm, leaving him utterly at peace, ready for whatever gentle wonders might still await him. Refreshed and profoundly calm, Sami lingered by the singing waterfall, savoring the lingering sweetness of its water and the serene clarity that now permeated his being. The melodic waves continued their harmonious cascade, a constant lullaby in the heart of the maze. The shimmering bird, his silent guide, had taken flight from its branch and now hovered gently near the waterfall's base, its iridescent feathers catching the opalescent glow of the water. The brass compass in Sami's hand maintained its steady, warm pulse, a comforting echo of his inner peace. A subtle shimmer in the falling water, a fleeting glimpse of something dark and solid beyond the luminous curtain, caught Sami's eye. It was almost imperceptible, a trick of the light and spray, but his sharpened senses, honed by his journey and the waterfall's magic, registered it instantly. An undeniable pull, a whisper of unseen depths, drew him closer to the very source of the singing water. He stood before the glowing cascade, feeling the cool, refreshing mist on his face. The water, translucent and flowing, seemed to part for him, inviting him to look beyond its shimmering veil. With a renewed sense of quiet purpose, Sami stepped through the falling water, passing through the liquid curtain as if it were an ethereal doorway. Behind the waterfall, he discovered a hidden chamber, a natural grotto carved into the ancient rock face. The air within was still, cool, and dry, a stark contrast to the damp mist outside. The only light came from the waterfall itself, filtering through its shimmering veil, casting a soft, diffuse glow within the grotto. And etched into the smooth, dark stone walls of the secret space were ancient carvings. Sami's eyes widened with awe and wonder. The carvings were intricate and numerous, covering the walls in a silent, pictorial language. They were not crude scratches, but deeply etched, deliberate symbols, imbued with a sense of immense age and profound meaning. He traced the contours of the first symbols with his gaze, then with a reverent fingertip, he recognized familiar shapes. Towering trees, their branches reaching for unseen skies, mirroring the humming giants he had journeyed through. Interspersed among them were swirling galaxies of stars, constellations he had gazed upon countless nights. Yet here they seemed to hold a deeper, more celestial significance. And everywhere, flowing rivers, their winding paths intricately carved, echoing the very water he had just passed through, and the winding paths he had followed. But these were not mere representations. These were symbols that told stories. As he examined them, a profound sense of history, of countless journeys and countless seekers, settled upon him. He could almost feel the presence of those who had come before, their fingers tracing these same lines, their hearts filled with similar quests. Each carving, each symbol, seemed to hum with a silent narrative, speaking of ancient wisdom and timeless pursuits. He saw symbols of journeys, winding paths, distant mountains, veiled valleys. He saw symbols of discovery, open hands, blossoming flowers, and the clear eyes of animals. And woven through all of it were symbols of inner quests, hearts rendered with intricate patterns, minds depicted as calm, serene pools, and spirits soaring like birds. The stories they told were not of grand conquests or epic battles, but of something far more intimate, far more universal. They spoke of travelers who had come to this very place, drawn by the same quiet call, each one seeking something quiet and true. They sought clarity, peace, understanding, connection, the very things Sami himself had found and was still finding. The carvings were a testament to the enduring human, or perhaps not only human, spirit, its relentless pursuit of meaning, its yearning for authentic experience. The waterfall's song, softened by the stone walls of the grotto, became a gentle underscore to his silent reading of the ancient texts. The shimmering bird had flown into the grotto and now perched on a small ledge, its iridescent feathers glowing, as if illuminating the stories for him. The compass in Sami's hand, though still warm, no longer pulsed with a sense of forward direction, but rather with a deep, resonant calm, affirming that this was indeed a destination, a point of culmination and profound understanding. Sami spent a long time in the grotto, letting the ancient stories wash over him, letting them settle into his heart alongside the calm clarity of the waterfall's water. He realized that his journey was not just about finding a special place, but about joining a lineage of seekers, about understanding that the pursuit of something quiet and true was a universal, timeless quest. The carvings were not just records. They were a mirror, reflecting his own journey, his own search for meaning back to him. He was a part of something ancient and beautiful, a link in a chain of truth seekers. Enveloped within the sacred hush of the grotto, behind the shimmering curtain of the singing waterfall, Sami continued to absorb the profound stories etched into the ancient stone. The air was cool and still, permeated by the gentle, distant melody of the cascading water. The shimmering bird rested quietly on a ledge, its soft glow illuminating the intricate carvings, while the brass compass in Sami's hand maintained its deep, resonant calm, a steady heartbeat of shared understanding. As Sami traced the symbols with his fingertips, the soaring trees, the celestial stars, the winding rivers, a powerful realization began to settle within him, a truth that resonated deeply with the calm clarity he had found. He wasn't the first to walk this path. He wasn't the sole seeker to be drawn by the mysterious whispers of the wind, to follow the persistent pull of a golden compass, or to find solace and wonder in the hidden heart of this magical realm. The carvings were a testament to a lineage, a silent chronicle of countless travelers who had come before him. Each etched line, each symbolic depiction of a journey, a discovery, or an inner peace, spoke of previous footsteps on the same hallowed ground. He saw motifs that echoed his own experiences. Figures with cupped hands, drinking from a waterfall, shapes resembling a sleeping fox, images of delicate, shimmering birds. There were even symbols that looked remarkably like the unique leaf-shaped token he carried, and stylized compasses, their needles pointing to a central, radiant star. Others, just like him, had felt the call. Others had bravely stepped onto the winding paths of the Wind Forgets forest, navigating its foggy depths and listening to the soft hum of its ancient trees. They, too, had followed the enigmatic guidance of the compass, trusting its unwavering direction even when the way seemed obscure. They had sat at the cliff's edge, witnessing sunrises and sunsets that painted the sky in impossible hues, and they had found peace in the valley that shimmered with morning mist, just as he had. A profound sense of connection washed over Sami, bridging the vast chasm of time. He felt inextricably linked to these nameless travelers, these ancient seekers who had inscribed their journeys into the very stone of this sacred place. Even though centuries, perhaps millennia, separated them, they shared a common thread. A yearning for something quiet and true, a desire to understand the deeper mysteries of existence, and a willingness to follow the whispers of magic into the unknown. He imagined them sitting where he sat, their faces illuminated by the same soft glow, their hearts filled with similar awe. He envisioned their hands tracing these same carvings, their spirits finding solace and meaning in these timeless symbols. This grotto was not just a historical record. It was a sanctuary of shared experience, a quiet library of human, and perhaps non-human, seeking. The realization deepened his understanding of his own journey. It wasn't just his adventure. It was part of a grander, ongoing narrative, a continuous flow of seeking and finding that stretched back into the mists of time. This place wasn't merely a destination. It was a focal point, a crucible where profound truths were revealed, understood, and then passed on. The peace he felt wasn't solely his own. It was a resonant echo of the peace found by all who had come before. The calm clarity within him grew even stronger, rooted now in this deep sense of shared humanity or consciousness. There was immense comfort in knowing he was part of something so ancient and enduring. The carvings were not just stories of travelers. They were stories for travelers, an affirmation that the quest for truth and peace was a universal, timeless journey, and that the answers, though often quiet and subtle, were always there for those willing to seek them. Sami stood in the grotto, no longer just a boy on a personal quest, but a participant in a sacred tradition. The singing waterfall, the shimmering bird, the pulsing compass. All these elements now seem to be part of a larger, interconnected tapestry, a harmonious whole designed to guide and enlighten. He felt a profound sense of belonging, an unshakable connection to the silent community of seekers who, even across time, had shared this very path and found their own quiet truth in the valley beyond. His heart swelled with gratitude and a renewed sense of purpose, ready to carry this ancient wisdom forward. Emerging from the grotto behind the singing waterfall, Sami carried with him a profound sense of connection and a deep, tranquil clarity. The ancient carvings, with their silent tales of timeless seekers, had woven him into a grand tapestry of shared journeys. The shimmering bird, his constant guide, fluttered gently ahead as he stepped back into the subtle twilight of the maze. The brass compass in his hand continued its soft, warm pulse, now less an indicator of direction and more a steady affirmation of his inner peace. The melodic waves of the waterfall continued their harmonious song, but Sami felt a new, quiet draw, a subtle beckoning from a different corner of the amphitheater. The shimmering bird, as if sensing this new curiosity, did not fly far, but hovered near a less conspicuous opening in the rock face, not far from the waterfall's base. Its iridescent feathers cast soft, dancing lights, hinting at a new wonder. Following the bird's silent lead, Sami approached the opening. It wasn't a grand entrance, but a modest, almost hidden crevice, partially obscured by trailing vines adorned with glowing blossoms. Pushing aside the delicate foliage, he peered inside. What he found was a cave, entirely unlike any he had ever imagined. It wasn't dark or damp, but glowed with an astonishing, ethereal light. The walls of the cave shimmered with countless crystals, each one radiating a soft, pale blue light. These crystals were not uniform. Some were delicate formations like frozen lace, others were robust, geometric pillars, but all emanated the same gentle, captivating luminescence. The entire space was bathed in this serene blue glow, a light so pure and subtle it felt like liquid moonlight. The air inside the cave was remarkably cool and still, a refreshing contrast to the fragrant, slightly warmer air of the forest outside. It had a clean, almost sterile quality, free of dust or earthy scents, replaced instead by a faint, crisp minerality that felt incredibly invigorating. There was no wind here, no rustling leaves, no hum of trees. Only the soft, ambient hum of the crystals themselves, a quiet, almost imperceptible vibration that added to the cave's profound tranquility. Sami stepped inside, his boots sinking slightly into a carpet of soft, crystalline dust. The shimmering bird flew in after him, perching on a low-hanging crystalline formation, its own glow mingling harmoniously with the cave's blue radiance. The compass, which had settled into a steady warmth, now pulsed with a new, gentle rhythm, as if acknowledging this sanctuary. He walked deeper into the cave, drawn by the mesmerizing blue light. The walls, floor, and ceiling were entirely covered in these radiant crystals, creating an immersive experience of pure, soft light. It felt like stepping into a living geode, a celestial chamber carved from the earth itself. The pale blue light was incredibly soothing, casting no harsh shadows, only soft gradations of luminescence that lent an otherworldly beauty to the space. Finding a particularly inviting alcove, where the crystalline formations seemed to curve inward, Sami felt an overwhelming urge to simply rest. He had traveled far, experienced so much, and now, in this luminous, quiet haven, he felt a profound sense of release. He curled up inside the alcove, letting the cool, still air and the soft blue light wash over him. The cave seemed to cradle him like a nest, its crystalline walls a gentle embrace. The cool, firm surfaces felt protective, secure, and infinitely peaceful. He closed his eyes, not to sleep, but to simply be in this extraordinary space. The blue light filtered through his eyelids, creating shimmering patterns of inner calm. The gentle hum of the crystals seemed to lull his thoughts, inviting a deeper level of serenity. In this luminous, silent sanctuary, Sami felt completely safe, completely at peace. It was a culmination of all the comfort, protection, and wonder he had experienced throughout his journey. The cave wasn't just a physical space. It was a metaphorical nest for his spirit, a place where he could rest, reflect, and allow the profound magic of the enchanted realm to integrate fully within him. Here, surrounded by the silent, shimmering beauty of the pale blue crystals, Sami found a quiet refuge, a final, perfect haven in the heart of his extraordinary adventure. Cradled within the serene embrace of the crystal cave, bathed in the soft, pale blue light of its shimmering walls, Sami finally allowed himself to succumb to a deep and restorative rest. The cool, still air and the gentle hum of the glowing crystals formed a perfect lullaby, soothing every fiber of his being. The shimmering bird had settled quietly on a nearby crystalline perch, its own light a soft complement to the cave's ethereal glow. The brass compass, now resting beside him, pulsed with a calm, steady warmth, a silent guardian of his slumber. That night, as the magic of the enchanted realm seeped into his subconscious, Sami dreamed, and his dreams were as vivid and extraordinary as the waking journey he had undertaken. He found himself standing in a vast, open landscape, bathed in a light unlike any he had ever witnessed. Overhead, the sky was a breathtaking expanse of pure, molten gold, streaked with shimmering rivers of amber and rose. It was a sky that felt not of dawn or dusk, but of an eternal, gentle brilliance, illuminating everything with a warm, pervasive radiance. Before him stretched a forest, but not one of earthly greens and browns. Instead, he saw countless silver trees. Their trunks were smooth and luminous, like polished moonlight, and their leaves, instead of rustling, seemed to chime with a soft, melodic whisper as they swayed. Each leaf was a tiny, reflective mirror, catching the golden light of the sky and sending myriad shimmering reflections dancing across the landscape. The entire forest of silver trees seemed to shimmer and resonate, a living symphony of light and soft sound. As he gazed at this breathtaking scene, Sami became aware of something floating gently above him. It was his brass compass, but larger, more luminous, and imbued with an even greater sense of purpose. It floated effortlessly in the golden air, spinning slowly, deliberately, its golden light casting a soft halo around it. With each rotation, its needle moved with exquisite grace, not pointing to a fixed cardinal direction, but slowly sweeping across the magnificent vista before settling unwavering. The compass in his dream was pointing directly toward a valley. This valley, nestled between rolling hills adorned with more silver trees, was unlike anything he had seen or imagined. It was filled with light, an incandescent, joyful radiance that seemed to emanate from the very earth itself, rising upwards in gentle waves. And with the light came sound, a pervasive, harmonious song. It was a melody woven from countless voices, a chorus of unseen beings, of wind chimes, of rustling silver leaves, and of the distant melodic waves of a waterfall, all blended into a single, breathtaking symphony. It was a song of pure joy, of profound peace, and of boundless life. The valley shimmered with this light, vibrated with this song, a place of ultimate beauty and profound truth. Sami felt an overwhelming sense of belonging, as if every step of his journey, every discovery, every moment of wonder, had been leading him to this very place, this valley of light and song in the heart of his dream. He started to walk towards it, his dream self moving effortlessly, drawn by the irresistible pull of the compass and the enchanting melody. The silver trees parted to let him pass, their leaves chiming a gentle welcome. The golden sky seemed to smile upon him, and the very air vibrated with a sense of culmination, of arrival. As he drew closer, the light from the valley grew more intense, and the song swelled into a magnificent, all-encompassing anthem of peace and joy. He saw figures moving within the light, indistinct but radiating warmth and kindness. He recognized the shape of the shimmering bird, flitting playfully through the golden air, and even the wise, knowing eyes of the ancient turtle, smiling from a bed of luminous moss. Sami awoke slowly, gently, the memory of the dream lingering vividly in his mind. The pale blue light of the crystal cave still surrounded him, and the gentle hum of the crystals was a soft echo of the dream's celestial music. The brass compass lay beside him, radiating a familiar warmth. The dream felt less like a fleeting fantasy and more like a profound revelation, a glimpse into the true heart of the magic he had been seeking. The valley of light and song, with its silver trees and golden skies, awaited him, not just in dreams, but as a tangible promise for his continued journey. Sami stirred gently within the serene embrace of the crystal cave, slowly emerging from the profound sleep that had gifted him such a vivid, transcendent dream. The soft, pale blue light of the crystals still shimmered on the cave walls, and the subtle hum of their energy permeated the cool, still air. The shimmering bird, his faithful companion, remained perched on its crystalline formation, its iridescent feathers glowing faintly. The memory of the silver trees, the golden skies, and the valley of light and song was fresh and potent, a guiding star now etched into his waking consciousness. As his eyes fully opened, Sami instinctively reached for the brass compass that lay beside him. Its warmth, usually a gentle comfort, was now distinctly more assertive, a resonant heat that pulsed steadily in his palm. He lifted it, and as if awakened by the dream itself, the compass's needle, which had been resting calmly, now swung with remarkable decisiveness, pointed firmly, unmistakably, downhill. He rose from his crystalline nest, a new sense of quiet purpose thrumming within him. The dream was not merely a fantasy. It was a revelation, a preview of what awaited him. He glanced at the shimmering bird, which met his gaze with an intelligent tilt of its head, then took to the air, fluttering gently towards the mouth of the cave. It was time to move. Stepping out from the blue luminescence of the cave, Sami found that the world outside had undergone a significant transformation. The intricate, winding paths of the maze, which had been veiled in the soft twilight of the previous evening, were now revealed with startling clarity. More importantly, the fog had completely lifted. The persistent, pearlescent mist that had characterized much of the Wind Forgets forest and veiled the ravine was gone. The air was crisp and clear, imbued with a newfound transparency that allowed for an expansive view. Below him, stretching out in a panorama that took his breath away, lay a quiet valley. It was the valley from his dream, now revealed in the gentle light of the morning. The sun, though not yet fully risen above the distant peaks, cast a soft, ethereal glow across the landscape, painting everything in shades of muted gold and tender rose. The valley floor shimmered, not with mist, but with a subtle inner radiance, as if the very earth itself was alight. The trees here were indeed different. While not yet the full silver of his dream, their leaves possessed an undeniable luminosity, a silvery sheen that caught and amplified the morning light. They stood tall and graceful, their branches reaching towards the sky, and even from this distance, Sami could sense a subtle melodic resonance emanating from them. He hadn't heard the full song of his dream, but a quiet hum, a harmonious whisper, seemed to drift upwards, carried on the now gentle and consistent breeze. He felt an overwhelming surge of confirmation, a deep, unwavering certainty. This was it. This was the place waiting just for him, the destination his journey had been leading him to all along. The quiet valley, glowing softly in the morning light, was the tangible realization of his dream, the promise fulfilled. The compass's firm pointing, the lifted fog, the radiant valley, all coalesced into an undeniable truth. Sami knew he was close, not just physically close, but spiritually close. Every step he had taken, every encounter, every moment of wonder and challenge, had prepared him for this arrival. The calm clarity within him, nurtured by the waterfall's song and the ancient carvings, was now infused with a quiet joy and profound anticipation. He began his descent, following the compass's unwavering direction. The path, though still winding, was clearer now, almost beckoning him forward. The shimmering bird flew ahead, its iridescent feathers sparkling in the nascent sunlight, a silent herald of his approach. The air grew lighter with each step, and the floral fragrance, though still present, was now subtly mingled with a fresh, earthy scent, like dew on ancient ground. His heart swelled with gratitude for the gentle guidance, for the profound beauty, for the inner journey that had paralleled his outer quest. He was not merely reaching an end point. He was stepping into a new beginning, a place of peace, light, and song, a haven for his spirit that had been revealed in a dream and now waited for him in the waking world. The valley, bathed in morning's soft glow, was a promise kept, a dream come true, beckoning him onward to its radiant heart. Following the unwavering direction of the brass compass and the gentle, guiding flight of the shimmering bird, Sami descended from the crystal cave, through the now clear maze, and towards the quiet valley that glowed softly in the morning light. Each step brought a deepening sense of anticipation, a feeling of culmination that vibrated through his very being. The dream of silver trees and golden skies felt like a premonition, now on the cusp of becoming a tangible reality. As he reached the final slope, the path widened, opening into a breathtaking panorama. With a final, deliberate step, Sami moved past the last cluster of luminous trees and into the expanse of the hidden valley. The moment he stepped in, everything changed. It wasn't a jarring shift, but a profound, almost spiritual transition. The air, which had been crisp and invigorating on the descent, now felt wonderfully warm and incredibly soft, like a gentle caress against his skin. It was imbued with a heightened fragrance, a complex and intoxicating perfume of countless blossoms, interwoven with the clean, sweet scent of morning dew and ancient earth. This wasn't merely a pleasant aroma. It was the very breath of the valley, rich with life and magic. A sense of stillness settled over everything, a pervasive quiet that transcended mere absence of sound. It was a golden stillness, radiant and profound, as if the very fabric of time had paused, holding its breath in reverence for the sacred beauty of the place. The morning light, which had been soft and ethereal on the hills above, intensified here, bathing the entire valley in a perpetual warm, golden glow. It felt as though the sun had chosen this valley as its favored resting place, casting an eternal, gentle brilliance upon every leaf, every flower, every stone. And the trees. Oh, the trees! They were precisely as he had dreamed. Countless, graceful. Their trunks glowing with a soft, inner luminescence, their branches reaching skyward. Their leaves, unlike any he had ever seen, shimmered with an unmistakable silver hue. They weren't merely reflective. They seemed to be woven from threads of moonlight and starlight, catching the golden light and scattering it in myriad dancing glints of pure silver. As a gentle, unseen breeze passed through them, the silver leaves rustled, not with a dry, mundane sound, but like countless soft whispers, a melodic murmur that carried ancient secrets and timeless blessings. It was the very song he had heard in his dream, now made real, a continuous, harmonious symphony of the forest. The shimmering bird, released from its guiding duty, soared gracefully above him, its iridescent feathers blending seamlessly with the silvery foliage and the golden light, a living jewel in a landscape of dreams. The brass compass in Sami's hand, which had pulsed with such purpose, now settled into a deep, steady warmth, its needle spinning slowly before coming to rest, pointing nowhere in particular, as if its journey and Sami's had finally arrived. There was no more forward to seek, only here. Sami stood in the midst of it all, his heart overflowing with a quiet awe. This was a place untouched by time, a sanctuary where the essence of beauty and peace resided. The signs of aging, of decay, of the passage of seasons were absent. Everything seemed vibrant, eternally renewed, caught in a perpetual moment of serene perfection. It was a place where worries dissipated, where doubts vanished, and where the soul found its true home. He took a deep breath, letting the warm, fragrant air fill his lungs, allowing the golden stillness and the whispering silver leaves to permeate every part of his being. The calm clarity he had found in the waterfall's grotto deepened into a profound serenity, an unshakable inner peace. He was not merely an observer. He was a part of this living masterpiece, a woven thread in its timeless tapestry. This hidden valley was the culmination of his quest, the destination his village elders had spoken of, the answer to the ancient riddles. It was the heart of the Wind Forgets forest, the place where the wind, instead of forgetting, whispered eternal truths through silver leaves. Here, in this haven of light and song, Sami realized that the true treasure wasn't a tangible object, but the profound transformation within himself, and the eternal beauty of a world where magic was simply, wondrously, real. He stood, bathed in golden light, listening to the silver whispers, knowing his journey had led him to a place beyond all imagining. Stepping fully into the heart of the hidden valley, Sami felt a profound sense of arrival, a quiet exhilaration that settled deep within his spirit. The golden stillness, the warm, fragrant air, and the whisper of the silver-leaved trees enveloped him completely. The shimmering bird, having completed its final guidance, now soared high above, its iridescent form a beautiful speck against the eternal golden sky. The brass compass in Sami's hand, its journey fulfilled, lay warm and still. He didn't rush. There was no need. Time in this place felt less like a linear progression and more like an expansive, radiant present. Sami wandered slowly, his steps unhurried, almost reverent, as he began to truly take in the breathtaking beauty around him. Every detail, every nuance of the valley, seemed to hum with a quiet vitality, an intrinsic magic that was both powerful and incredibly gentle. The ground beneath his feet was unlike anything he had ever encountered. It wasn't hard earth, nor soft moss, but something entirely unique. It felt like velvet, yielding slightly with each step, cushioning his movements with an almost ethereal softness. It seemed to glow with a faint, internal light, a subtle shimmer that matched the valley's pervasive radiance. Walking upon it was like treading on clouds, a sensation of effortless grace that further deepened the dreamlike quality of the place. And the flowers, they were everywhere, in a riot of colors that defied earthly description, each petal glowing with its own soft light. Sami knelt beside a cluster of blossoms that pulsed with an inner amethyst glow, and as he drew near, he heard it, a soft, almost imperceptible hum emanating from them. It wasn't the buzz of an insect, but a gentle, melodic vibration, as if the flowers themselves were singing their quiet joy to the golden air. Each species seemed to have its own unique tone, creating a continuous, harmonious undertone to the rustling whispers of the silver trees. It was the song from his dream, now understood to be the very voice of the valley's flora. He watched in silent wonder as these luminous flowers seemed to subtly shift their hues, reacting to the ambient light and perhaps to his own presence. Some appeared to breathe, their petals expanding and contracting with an almost imperceptible rhythm, as if drawing in the golden light and exhaling their vibrant perfume. The fragrance, already intoxicating, seemed to deepen with every discovery, a symphony of scents that uplifted and enriched his spirit. The valley welcomed him. It wasn't a sudden, explicit greeting, but an enveloping sensation, a pervasive feeling of acceptance and belonging. It was like being embraced by an old friend, one he had perhaps known in a forgotten lifetime, or in a deep, intuitive part of his soul. The air seemed to hold him gently, the light to warm him with profound kindness, and the whispers of the silver trees to murmur his name in ancient, loving tones. There was no sense of being an outsider, no feeling of intrusion, only a profound resonance, a harmonious connection between himself and the very essence of this untouched paradise. He reached out and gently touched the trunk of a silver tree. Its bark was smooth and cool, shimmering subtly under his hand, and he felt a faint, benevolent pulse, a living energy that flowed through its ancient being. The whispers in its leaves seemed to intensify, sharing secrets known only to the truly ancient, stories of timeless cycles and profound peace. Everywhere he looked, there was beauty and harmony, a perfect ecosystem of light, sound, and fragrance. Small, luminous creatures, not unlike fireflies but with a softer, steadier glow, flitted amongst the blossoms. Gentle streams of glowing water wound through the velvet ground, their soft murmurs adding another layer to the valley's continuous song. The air seemed to shimmer with tiny motes of golden light, dancing in silent celebration. Sami continued his slow, appreciative wander. He was not searching for anything now. He was simply experiencing. His quest had not ended with discovery, but with integration. He was not just in the hidden valley. The hidden valley was now in him, its stillness, its golden light, its whispering trees, and its humming flowers becoming a part of his very being. This place, untouched by time, had welcomed him, not as a visitor, but as one returning home. Continuing his slow, reverent wander through the hidden valley, Sami felt a deepening sense of peace and profound connection. The velvet ground cushioned his every step, the humming flowers sang their quiet melodies, and the silver-leaved trees whispered ancient secrets in the gentle golden air. The valley's welcome was a palpable presence, a warm embrace that settled his spirit. He was not merely exploring. He was communing with a living, breathing sanctuary, a place where magic was the very essence of existence. As he moved deeper, drawn by an irresistible, quiet pull, he noticed a shift in the landscape. The luminous flora, while still abundant, began to part, creating a natural clearing. All paths seemed to converge towards a central point, a focal heart within the valley's vast expanse. And there, in the very center, stood a tree unlike any other he had encountered. It was magnificent, a truly colossal arboreal sentinel that commanded the entire space. Even amongst the silver-leaved wonders of the valley, this tree stood apart, radiating an aura of immense age, wisdom, and profound power. Its trunk, impossibly wide and gnarled, glowed with a faint, steady light, not the reflective shimmer of the other trees, but an intrinsic, inner luminescence that pulsed gently, like a colossal, ancient heart. The light was a soft, pure white, contrasting beautifully with the golden glow of the valley and the silvery leaves around it. Its branches, thick as the trunks of other trees, stretched wide and majestically, reaching out in all directions, creating an expansive canopy that seemed to touch the golden sky itself. These branches, too, glowed with that same soft, white light, and from them hung delicate, ethereal lanterns of pure energy, shimmering like silent bells. Beneath this vast, sheltering canopy, an area of gentle shade was cast, a comforting respite from the pervasive golden light of the valley. It was a haven within a haven, a focal point of peace and rest. Sami approached the tree with a sense of awe, his steps becoming even more deliberate, as if he were walking into a sacred space. The air here, directly beneath the colossal tree, was imbued with an almost tangible stillness, a silence that felt deeper and more profound than any he had experienced before. The gentle hum of the valley's flowers softened to an almost imperceptible whisper, and the rustling of the silver leaves seemed to pause in deference to this ancient giant. As he stepped beneath the wide-spreading branches, he felt an immediate rush of comfort. The shade was not merely an absence of light, but a presence of gentle solace, a cool, protective embrace. It felt like standing within the arms of something infinitely wise and profoundly benevolent, a living sanctuary offering shelter to all who sought it. The very air under the canopy felt infused with a calming energy, a sense of timeless peace that settled deep into his bones. And then he saw it. Beneath the mighty trunk, nestled into the soft, velvet ground, lay a stone tablet. It was large and rectangular, fashioned from a dark, smooth stone that absorbed the tree's soft glow rather than reflecting it. Half covered in a rich, emerald moss that pulsed with its own subtle light, the tablet appeared ancient, forgotten by the hurried world, yet profoundly significant in this untouched realm. Sami knelt beside it, gently brushing away the velvety moss. As he cleared the surface, he saw that the tablet, like the walls of the grotto, was etched with intricate symbols. These carvings were even older, deeper, and seemed to resonate with an even greater power. They spoke of origins, of connections, of the very essence of the valley. He saw the familiar trees, stars, and rivers, but also new symbols, circles of light, intertwined destinies, and figures reaching out, not for discovery, but for communion. The shimmering bird settled on a low-hanging branch of the colossal tree, its iridescent gaze fixed on Sami and the tablet. The brass compass, still warm, seemed to emanate a soft, contented glow. In the heart of the hidden valley, beneath the ancient, glowing tree, Sami had found not just a landmark, but a message, a final, profound revelation waiting to be deciphered, connecting him to the deepest truths of this magical world. This tree was the heart of the valley, and the tablet, its silent voice, holding stories even more ancient than the carvings in the waterfall's grotto. Under the vast, comforting canopy of the central glowing tree, nestled in the heart of the hidden valley, Sami knelt before the ancient stone tablet. The tree itself pulsed with a soft, pure white light, its immense branches stretching wide, offering a profound sense of solace. The pervasive golden glow of the valley filtered through the silver leaves above, creating a serene, luminous atmosphere. The shimmering bird, his faithful guide, remained perched gracefully on a lower branch of the great tree, its iridescent feathers subtly reflecting the tablet's emerging secrets. The brass compass in Sami's hand lay still, radiating a deep, contented warmth, as if it too held its breath in anticipation. Sami's fingers, trembling slightly with a mixture of reverence and excitement, gently brushed away the velvety, emerald moss that clung to the tablet's surface. Each careful sweep revealed more of the dark, smooth stone beneath, and slowly, painstakingly, the intricate carvings began to appear. These were not the pictorial symbols of the grotto, but words, ancient and elegantly formed, etched into the stone with a precision that defied the passage of countless ages. As the last tendrils of moss fell away, Sami leaned closer, his eyes tracing the elegant, unfamiliar script. Slowly, patiently, his mind, sharpened by the pure water of the waterfall and the clarity of the crystal cave, began to decipher them. The words, though ancient, resonated with a universal truth, speaking directly to his heart. He read them aloud, his voice a soft whisper in the profound stillness beneath the tree. To those who seek gently, the world opens quietly. The message settled into his heart like a lullaby. It wasn't a sudden, explosive revelation, but a deep, profound understanding that bloomed within him, quiet yet absolute. The words resonated with every step of his journey, every gentle choice he had made, every moment of patience and trust. They were a perfect encapsulation of his entire experience. He thought of the fox, not hunted but befriended, of the turtle, not rushed but patiently awaited, of the shimmering bird, not captured but respectfully followed. He had not stormed the forest with force or demanded its secrets. Instead, he had listened, observed, trusted, and sought with a gentle heart. And in return, the world, this incredible magical world, had opened itself to him, quietly, beautifully, revealing its wonders layer by layer. The simple elegance of the phrase spoke volumes. It celebrated the power of gentle persistence, the wisdom of quiet observation, and the profound rewards of seeking with an open, humble spirit. It affirmed that true discovery was not about conquest, but about communion. Not about taking, but about receiving what was freely given to those who approached with respect. A wave of profound peace washed over Sami, deeper even than the calm clarity he had found at the waterfall. This was the ultimate reassurance, the final piece of the puzzle that completed his inner transformation. The message was a profound affirmation of the path he had chosen, validating his intuition and affirming the wisdom of his village elders. It felt like the valley itself, through this ancient stone, was speaking directly to him, confirming his worthiness and his belonging. The luminous flowers beneath the tree seemed to hum a little louder, a chorus of gentle assent. The silver leaves whispered their soft approvals. The white glow of the colossal tree intensified almost imperceptibly, enveloping him in its benevolent light. The shimmering bird tilted its head, its dark eyes holding an expression of ancient understanding. Sami sat there for a long time, the words imprinted not just on his mind, but on the very fabric of his soul. To those who seek gently, the world opens quietly. It was a philosophy, a guiding principle, a timeless truth that transcended the boundaries of this magical valley and extended into the world beyond. He knew, with an unshakable certainty, that this message would be a part of him forever, guiding his future steps, shaping his perspective, and deepening his appreciation for the quiet wonders of existence. The dream of the golden skies and silver trees, the persistent pulse of the compass, the soothing music of the waterfall, the wisdom of the ancient carvings, the gentle embrace of the crystal cave. All these moments coalesced around this single, powerful truth. He had found not just a place, but a way of being. The hidden valley had given him a gift beyond imagination. The understanding that true magic lay in the gentle heart, and that the world, in its infinite wisdom, would always reveal itself to those who approached it with kindness and patience. The message settled, a comforting lullaby of truth, into the quiet depths of his heart. With the ancient words, "To those who seek gently, the world opens quietly," imprinted deeply on his heart, Sami remained kneeling before the moss-covered stone tablet beneath the colossal, glowing tree. The white light of the tree pulsed softly, a steady, ancient heartbeat in the center of the hidden valley. The shimmering bird, his faithful companion, settled even closer on a branch, its iridescent feathers gleaming in the golden light. He didn't move for a long time, allowing the profound truth of the message to fully integrate into his being. The world had indeed opened quietly to him, revealing its most precious secrets not through grand pronouncements, but through gentle whispers, subtle signs, and profound moments of stillness. He had sought not with force, but with a receptive heart, and in return, he had found something far greater than he could have ever imagined. Slowly, gently, Sami shifted, settling into a comfortable cross-legged position on the velvet-soft ground beneath the tree's vast, comforting canopy. The shade here was a profound comfort, a cool, serene oasis that shielded him from the pervasive golden radiance of the valley, allowing for a deeper contemplation. He placed the brass compass carefully beside him on the mossy ground. As it settled, a remarkable change occurred. The steady warmth that had emanated from it throughout his journey, the gentle, guiding pulse that had been a constant companion, now faded. The golden glow, which had been a subtle beacon for so long, diminished and then extinguished completely. The needle, which had pointed firmly downhill just hours ago and spun in his dream, now lay still, pointing to no particular direction, its purpose fulfilled. Its journey, like Sami's quest for a destination, was complete. It was no longer a tool of seeking, but a quiet testament to a journey accomplished. A deep silence settled around Sami, a profound stillness that was utterly unlike any silence he had ever known. It wasn't the absence of noise, but a living, breathing quietude that permeated the very air. The gentle hum of the valley's flowers, the soft whispers of the silver leaves, even the distant melodic waves of the waterfall, all seemed to recede, not into nothingness, but into a harmonious background, allowing the central silence to resonate. This silence was not empty. It was full, overflowing with the presence of the valley, the wisdom of the ancient tree, and the culmination of his own journey. It wrapped around him like a soft, warm blanket, cradling him, soothing him, inviting him into a profound state of being. It was a silence that spoke volumes, communicating truths without words, conveying peace beyond understanding. Sami closed his eyes not to sleep, but to simply feel. He felt the gentle warmth of the golden air on his skin, the soft embrace of the velvet ground beneath him, and the protective solace of the ancient tree's canopy above. He felt the lingering sweetness of the waterfall's water within him, the clarity of the crystal cave, and the resonance of the ancient carvings. All these experiences, all these moments, converged into a singular, overwhelming sensation. He felt a deep peace he had never known before. It was a peace that settled into the core of his being, calm and unshakable. It was not merely the absence of worry or fear, but a positive, vibrant state of profound contentment. His mind was clear, his heart was open, and his spirit felt utterly at home. This was the true treasure he had been searching for, the quiet and true thing that the ancient seekers had carved into stone. It was a peace born of understanding, of belonging, of having found his place in the grand, magical tapestry of the world. The shimmering bird, observing him, let out a single, soft, melodious chirp, a sound like pure crystal, then settled its head beneath its wing, as if content that its charge had reached his ultimate sanctuary. Sami remained beneath the tree, enveloped in the golden stillness, letting the profound peace wash over him, knowing that he had not just found a place, but had truly found himself within it. His journey, in its seeking, had brought him home, to a peace that transcended all understanding, a silence richer than any song. Beneath the vast, benevolent canopy of the ancient, glowing tree, Sami sat in a state of profound peace, the silence of the hidden valley wrapping around him like a gentle, eternal embrace. The brass compass, now still and dark beside him, was a quiet monument to a journey completed. The words etched on the stone tablet, "To those who seek gently, the world opens quietly," echoed softly in his heart, a constant, comforting truth. As moments stretched into what felt like timelessness, Sami realized with absolute clarity that his journey had reached its true culmination. He didn't need to go further. There was no more further to seek. No other destination that could offer more profound meaning or deeper solace than this very spot. This valley, with its golden light, whispering silver trees, and humming flowers, was not just an endpoint. It was an eternal present, a sanctuary for the soul. The valley had given him what he didn't even know he was truly searching for. When he set out from his village, armed with the leaf-shaped token and the enigmatic compass, his conscious mind had been focused on a destination, a tangible place where the wind forgets. He had envisioned a geographical location, a point on a map, a specific place to be found. But the hidden valley, in its boundless wisdom, had offered him so much more than mere geography. It had given him stillness, not just the absence of noise, but a deep, resonant quietude that permeated his entire being. It was a stillness that calmed the ceaseless currents of thought, quieted the echoes of worry, and allowed his inner self to surface, clear and unburdened. This was the stillness he had longed for without articulating it, a fundamental peace that brought clarity and perspective to everything. It was the calm clarity he'd first touched at the waterfall, now deepened and made permanent by the entire valley's embrace. And it had given him wonder, from the first glimmer of the glowing trees, through the encounter with the wise turtle and the playful fox, to the majestic singing waterfall, the crystal cave, and finally, this central tree. Sami had been immersed in an unbroken current of awe. The world, in this valley, was a tapestry of endless miracles, each one more breathtaking than the last. He had rediscovered the innate magic of existence, the simple yet profound beauty that lay hidden beneath the mundane. This wonder wasn't fleeting. It was a permanent lens through which he now viewed the world, a boundless source of joy and appreciation. Most importantly, the valley had given him a place to simply be. In his life before, there had always been a task, a role, an expectation, a direction to follow. Even his quest, for all its beauty, had been driven by a purpose, to find this place. But here, beneath the ancient tree, there was no longer any need to strive, to seek, to achieve. There was only the gentle invitation to exist, to breathe, to absorb, to be fully present in the moment. It was a liberation, a profound release from the burdens of purpose, allowing him to experience the pure, unadulterated joy of simply existing. The shimmering bird, which had been his tireless guide, now flew down from its branch and landed softly on Sami's shoulder, its weight almost imperceptible, its iridescent feathers a soft brush against his cheek. It let out a tiny, contented chirp, a sound that resonated with the deep peace Sami felt. It was a silent acknowledgement, a shared understanding that the journey was indeed complete, and the truest destination had been reached. Sami closed his eyes once more, a gentle smile gracing his lips. He was home, not in the village he had left behind, but in a deeper, more fundamental sense of belonging within himself and within this extraordinary world. He had found his sanctuary, his wellspring of peace, his eternal source of wonder, and in finding it, he had found the stillness, the wonder, and the profound freedom of simply being. The hidden valley was not just a place he had discovered. It was a part of him, now and forever, a timeless echo of quiet truth. Content, at peace, and deeply rooted in the golden stillness of the hidden valley, Sami remained seated beneath the colossal, glowing tree. The shimmering bird, a quiet testament to their shared journey, rested gently on his shoulder, its soft weight a comforting presence. The brass compass, now a silent artifact, lay beside him, its purpose fulfilled. The words on the ancient tablet, "To those who seek gently, the world opens quietly," echoed softly in his heart, a constant, guiding lullaby. He had found what he didn't even know he was looking for: stillness, wonder, and a profound place to simply be. There was no longer a need to go further, no new destination to chase. Yet, a new, gentle impulse stirred within him, not a quest, but an expression of gratitude and a desire to hold onto this precious experience. Slowly, deliberately, Sami reached into his satchel. His fingers closed around the familiar, worn leather of his notebook and the smooth, cool wood of his charcoal pencil. These had been companions since the beginning of his journey, tools to document the visible world. Now they were called upon to capture the invisible, the essence of the magic he had found. He opened the notebook to a fresh, untouched page. The paper, a simple, earthly white, seemed to almost shimmer in the golden light of the valley, waiting to be imbued with its wonders. With a deep, calming breath, Sami began to sketch. His first strokes were tentative, almost reverent. He began with the majestic silver tree under which he sat. He depicted its impossibly wide, glowing trunk, trying to capture the faint, inner luminescence that pulsed gently. He drew its vast, spreading branches, each one reaching out like an ancient arm, and the delicate, ethereal lanterns of pure energy that hung from them. He spent a long time on the silver leaves, attempting to convey their unique shimmer, the way they caught the golden light and scattered it in dancing glints, and the subtle, whispering quality of their rustle. It was challenging to capture the light and movement, but his hand moved with a newfound fluidity, guided by the clarity of his vision and the deep connection he felt to the tree. Next, his pencil moved to the landscape of the valley itself. He sketched the soft, rolling hills that cradled the hidden expanse, trying to convey their gentle slopes and the way they seemed to glow with an inner radiance in the perpetual golden light. He illustrated the clusters of humming flowers, trying to suggest their vibrant, otherworldly colors and the delicate, melodic vibration that emanated from them. He drew the luminous creatures that flitted amongst the blossoms, their tiny forms glowing like living jewels. He even attempted to convey the sensation of the velvet ground, sketching soft undulations and subtle textures that hinted at its ethereal softness. He didn't aim for perfect photographic realism. Instead, he sought to capture the feeling, the essence, the very spirit of the hidden valley. Each line, each shade, each captured detail was an act of profound appreciation, a way to imprint the magic onto the physical world of his notebook. He drew the clear, flowing streams of glowing water, their gentle murmurs becoming lines on the page. He drew the shimmering bird, perched gracefully, its iridescent form a testament to wonder. With every stroke, Sami felt the magic of the valley infuse his work. It was as if his pencil was not just laying down charcoal, but channeling the golden light, the silver whispers, and the fragrant air directly onto the page. The act of creation was an extension of his experience, a way to deeply integrate the beauty he had found. He was capturing the magic so he could carry it with him, not just in his memory or his heart, but as a tangible reminder, a portable sanctuary. He wanted to remember the golden stillness, the profound peace, the endless wonder. He wanted to remember the message on the tablet, the wisdom of the ancient tree, the gentle guidance of the bird. This notebook would be his personal lexicon of enchantment, a visual diary of his profound transformation. When he returned to his village, if he chose to return, he would carry not just tales, but tangible glimpses of the world that had opened quietly to him. And even if he never left, these sketches would be a continuous communion with the extraordinary beauty that now surrounded him, a silent song of gratitude. The magic of the hidden valley, forever etched into his heart, was now also flowing through his hands onto the waiting page. Beneath the ancient, glowing tree, in the serene heart of the hidden valley, Sami continued to sketch, his charcoal pencil dancing across the page, translating the boundless magic around him into tangible lines and shades. The shimmering bird, his constant companion, remained perched softly on his shoulder, its presence a quiet confirmation of all he had found. The brass compass lay still, its journey complete, a silent testament to a path beautifully walked. As the pages of his notebook slowly filled with images of silver trees, humming flowers, and soft, glowing hills, a new thought, gentle yet persistent, began to form in Sami's mind. He looked up from his drawing, gazing at the eternal golden light, the endlessly whispering leaves, and the vibrant life that permeated every inch of this untouched paradise. A deep sense of belonging settled over him, so profound it was almost a part of his very breath. This was home in a way he had never fully understood before. Yet, even amidst this perfect peace, a quiet contemplation arose. His quest had been fulfilled, his spirit nourished, his understanding deepened beyond measure. But the world outside still existed. His village, his people, the familiar paths he had once walked, they were still there. And with his newfound wisdom, his heart felt a gentle tug, a subtle inclination to carry this light, this stillness, this wonder, back into that world. Not to leave the valley, but perhaps to share its essence. With this thought, a promise formed within him, clear and resolute as the valley's purest stream. He promised himself he would return one day. The words were not born of necessity or longing, for he lacked nothing in this moment. Instead, it was a promise born of deep affection, a pledge to a beloved friend. He would come back to sit beneath this ancient tree, to listen to the whispers of the silver leaves, to feel the velvet ground beneath his feet, and to breathe the warm, fragrant air. He would return to refresh his spirit, to reconnect with the source of his deepest peace, to revisit the very heart of wonder. But even as he made this promise, a more profound understanding bloomed within him, an insight gifted by the valley itself. He knew, with an unshakable certainty that resonated through his entire being, that even if he didn't physically return, the valley would live in his heart, quiet and glowing. This wasn't a consolation for absence. It was the ultimate truth of his journey. The hidden valley was not merely a geographical location, a collection of beautiful sights and sounds. It was a state of being, a profound inner sanctuary that he had built through gentle seeking and open reception. The stillness he had discovered within its golden light now resided within him, a calm pool in the depths of his soul. The wonder he had felt at every turn, at every humming flower and luminous creature, had become a permanent lens through which he viewed the world, a boundless wellspring of appreciation. The golden light of the valley, which perpetually embraced this sacred space, would continue to shine within his spirit, illuminating his path and warming his heart, no matter where he might go. The gentle whispers of the silver leaves, carrying ancient truths, would forever echo in his mind, guiding his thoughts and offering solace. The profound peace he had found, the peace that transcended all understanding, was now an intrinsic part of him, a constant, glowing ember in his quiet heart. He realized that his notebook, filled with sketches, was more than just a record. It was a physical manifestation of this internal truth, a tangible anchor for the intangible magic he now carried. Every line, every shade, every captured detail was a reminder that the valley's essence was his to keep, his to nurture, his to share. Sami closed his notebook, carefully securing the pencil within its spine. He took a final, deep breath, letting the warm, fragrant air fill his lungs one last time. The shimmering bird chirped softly on his shoulder, as if understanding his thoughts, then took flight, circling above him with a final, radiant flourish before disappearing into the silver leaves. The brass compass, still and dark, remained beside him, a forgotten tool now that the path was internal. He rose slowly, his movements imbued with a quiet grace. He had journeyed far to find this place, to discover its secrets, to learn its gentle truths, and in doing so he had transformed. He carried the hidden valley not as a memory to be recalled, but as a living, breathing part of himself, a quiet and glowing sanctuary that would forever reside in his heart, guiding him with its stillness and illuminating his life with its endless wonder. His physical journey might conclude, but the valley's magic, in his heart, had just begun. Having made his quiet promise, and with the indelible essence of the hidden valley now woven into the very fabric of his being, Sami felt a profound sense of completeness. He carefully placed his filled notebook back into his satchel, a tangible record of the intangible magic he now carried within. The shimmering bird had departed, a final, beautiful flourish in the silver leaves, its role as guide gracefully concluded. The brass compass lay beside him, a silent, dark testament to a journey whose physical path had ended, replaced by an inner landscape of peace. As the pervasive golden light of the valley began its subtle transformation, a soft, ethereal twilight started to descend. The golden glow softened, deepening into hues of amber and violet, painting the vast, stretching canopy of the central tree in shades of muted wonder. Above, in the spaces between the silver leaves, the sky, which had seemed eternally golden, slowly revealed its deeper, cosmic canvas. One by one, like tiny sparks igniting in an immense velvet cloth, the stars began to blink above. They emerged first as faint pinpricks of light, then grew in number and brilliance, until the entire celestial sphere was a dazzling tapestry of distant suns. Each star seemed to shimmer with its own quiet luminescence, mirroring the gentle glow of the valley below. They were ancient witnesses, their light having traveled across unimaginable distances, now shining down on the timeless peace of the hidden valley. Sami, feeling the shift in the valley's rhythm, prepared for the night. He curled up beneath the colossal, ancient tree, settling into the soft, velvet ground that felt like a natural bed. The tree's own gentle, white glow now mingled with the starlight, casting soft, dancing shadows that swayed with the evening's quiet breath. The comforting coolness of the night air settled around him, crisp and clean, carrying the heightened fragrance of the luminous, humming flowers that now pulsed with an even softer, more mysterious glow in the dimming light. The wind, which during the day had rustled the silver leaves with gentle whispers of ancient truths, now sang softly. It wasn't a mournful or cold sound, but a lullaby, a harmonious, ethereal melody that seemed to be woven from the very fabric of the valley's magic. It hummed through the silver leaves, a continuous, soothing song that spoke of quiet cycles, of deep rest, and of the profound peace that embraced this sacred place. It was the valley itself, settling into slumber, and the wind was its voice, singing its children to sleep. Around him, the valley settled into sleep. The vibrant, active hum of the flowers diminished to a barely perceptible thrum. The luminous creatures that had flitted amongst the blossoms now found their resting places, their glow softening to a gentle pulse. The glowing streams flowed with an even more hushed murmur, their waters reflecting the twinkling starlight in myriad tiny points of light. The entire ecosystem of the hidden valley seemed to collectively draw a deep breath, slowing its rhythm, entering a state of serene repose. Sami closed his eyes, his heart filled with a profound sense of belonging. The peace he had found earlier in the day deepened further in this tranquil night. He was not alone. He was cradled by the valley, watched over by the ancient tree and the countless stars. He was a part of this serene slumber, his own breath falling into rhythm with the gentle pulse of the world around him. He felt the connection to all the seekers who had come before him, the ones who had found peace in this valley across time. They, too, must have known nights like this, sleeping beneath the same ancient stars, listening to the same gentle wind song. He was a link in that timeless chain, a guardian of this sacred peace. As sleep began to claim him, Sami's dreams were already stirring, likely filled with the golden skies and silver trees that now lived within him. But for now, in the quiet, starlit embrace of the hidden valley, he simply was. He was at peace, utterly content, letting the soft wind sing him to sleep, his heart glowing with the magic he had found, and the profound stillness that was now his eternal companion. The valley had received him, and now it sang him to rest, a beloved part of its timeless slumber. Curled beneath the immense, gently glowing branches of the ancient tree, Sami allowed the profound peace of the hidden valley to fully embrace him. The myriad stars, now brilliantly alight in the deep violet canvas of the night sky, twinkled above, silent guardians. The cool, fragrant air of the valley carried the soft, melodic song of the wind through the silver leaves, a ceaseless lullaby that spoke of timeless cycles and boundless serenity. Around him, the entire valley had settled into a collective slumber, its luminous flowers and glowing streams pulsing with a diminished, hushed radiance. His promise to return one day, coupled with the certainty that the valley now resided within his heart, had freed him of any lingering anxieties or external pulls. There was only the present moment, saturated with peace and an infinite sense of belonging. The shimmering bird, having completed its service, had soared away, a final iridescent spark in the twilight, leaving Sami in the sole company of the valley's ancient magic. And there, under the silver leaves of the mighty tree, Sami drifted into dreams. It was not a sudden plunge into unconsciousness, but a gentle, seamless transition, as if his waking consciousness simply softened and expanded into the greater, more vivid reality of sleep. The whispers of the silver leaves, the gentle hum of the wind, and the faint, rhythmic pulse of the glowing crystals beneath him seemed to weave themselves into the very fabric of his slumber, crafting a tapestry of visions and sensations. In his dreams, the valley's magic continued to unfold. He soared above the silver trees, their leaves chiming with pure, crystalline music, reflecting the golden skies that now stretched into infinity. The compass, no longer a physical object, floated gracefully beside him, not pointing, but guiding him through a landscape of pure light and harmonious song. He saw the ancient turtle, its wise eyes smiling, and the playful fox, its fur shimmering, inviting him into games of light and shadow. The grotto of the singing waterfall appeared, its waters flowing not just with sound, but with stories, ancient tales that whispered through his mind, understood without words. The crystal cave, with its serene blue glow, became a chamber of inner clarity, reflecting the profound peace he now carried. The dreams were vivid, expansive, and deeply restorative, not merely echoes of his journey, but further extensions of the valley's profound teaching. He revisited moments of wonder, relived feelings of connection, and explored new facets of the beauty that now resided within him. There were no challenges or fears in this dreamscape, only an endless unfolding of joy and understanding, a testament to the peace he had found in the waking world. All the while, the brass compass lay beside him on the velvet ground, still and silent. Its golden glow had faded hours ago, its needle no longer capable of motion, for its purpose was complete. It was no longer a tool of seeking, but a quiet, dark presence, a tangible memory of the winding path that had led him to this ultimate rest. It was a symbol of the external journey, now rendered unnecessary by the internal compass he had discovered. As Sami slept deeply, peacefully, the hidden valley watched over him through the night. The ancient tree, with its steady white glow, stood as a silent sentinel, its vast branches offering protection and comfort. The countless stars continued their celestial dance above, their ancient light bathing the sleeping valley in a soft, cosmic radiance. The wind never ceased its gentle song, a continuous, soothing melody that ensured the valley's peace remained unbroken. The luminous flowers continued their soft pulse, their fragrance permeating the cool night air. The glowing streams flowed on, their faint murmurs adding to the valley's harmonious quietude. Every element of this untouched paradise, from the smallest glowing motes of dust to the grandest silver tree, contributed to the profound serenity that enveloped Sami. He was not just sleeping in the valley. He was intertwined with it, a beloved part of its timeless slumber, watched over by its ancient magic, bathed in its endless peace, his heart alight with its quiet, glowing truth.